Get 'em Jimmy, where low shack at. The bottles getting nippy up the crack and we stacking chips. All of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced. Leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon. Cause we be pubbing.
Cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers. Happy Friday, August 4th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. It was a wild day yesterday, wild night. A lot of good and some bad. I wanted to start with the bad, but I can't not start with this good that I got to go meet Slatty for the first time after capping with them for 4 years. I got to hang out with Slatty and his wife, Tammy. What an incredible couple. You know, it's so incredible when you meet low baggers. They always fulfill your idea about them. They're always everything you wanted them to be. I don't think there was a pause in the conversation, and we could have sat there for 10 more hours. And very thankful. You know, we cap with these guys every day, but they are your friends for life, and you feel that immediately. It's like you've known each other for 25 years. And so I wanted to start off with the bad, but I can't start the show off without mentioning what a treat it was to meet our guy, Slatty. Slatty, 45, came in to watch the O's, Jays from Montreal. So we'll start there. The bad was CFL. I was just very, very wrong. Very wrong. Not much more to say about that. I was very wrong. Still had a winning day overall, but let's just get that out of the way. That was atrocious. The good started off the preseason in NFL right where we left off last season. We had a great NFL season. We started with a 12-2 preseason. First quarter under 6.5 was a breeze. Even a fumble on a kickoff doesn't change a thing. We were in business from the first second till the end of that first quarter. Heavily juiced to the over. We were on the under, baby. So we start 1-0 in NFL. And I got this sick joy out of taking an under 6.5 in the first quarter. The lowest first quarter total I've ever seen. The lowest, and going under it just gave me this sick high that I'm still riding right now. Feels so goddamn good. So let's get that out of the way. We went 5-3 in MLB. I really only wanted to make 3 bets. They were the bets I made before I came in. Royals first 3, Royals first 5, Baltimore, Toronto first 5, under 4.5. Cash. We got in on Philadelphia, Miami over 8.5 during the show. It was a loser. And then I went 2-2 on my late games. You know, Yankees rolling with gamblers first glance was nice. Oakland, LA Dodgers first 5 under 5 was a breeze. Pirates first 5 and Cardinals first 5 were atrocious bets. They were horrible bets, but you know, it doesn't matter if you lose by a run or you lose by 13 runs like the Pirates did. All right, so there you go. That was the day that was. We can't go on also without talking about what happened here in the chat. There was so much gold in the chat yesterday, and we closed the show off with our guy, Billy Brisbane. He gave us one play at plus 420. One bet at plus 420, and it cashed with ease. Mercury won by 20. Trossi went for what, 43? He gave us Trossi 20 points or more. And the Mercury, my God, Brizzy getting that papier. Morgan Spooner in the house is on the same Cubs team, total over 3.5. In Texas, Miami, first 5 over 5. You know, I looked for a long time at that. I only have 3 bets on today's card. And look, you know, maybe it's because of what happened yesterday. I came in with 3 bets and they all cashed. And then I went 2-3 on additions. I'd be fine if I only have 3 bets on today's MLB card. That would be fine. But I looked a long time at that Texas-Miami game, and some things caught me by surprise looking at the stats. One is that Miami's raking lefties since July 1st, absolutely destroying lefties, and the Rangers are not. But do I trust Jesus Luzardo? That is the question, and my answer is no, I don't. I don't. But let me copy and paste our guy Morgan Spooner's action. So we have Bobano joining us today, and TJ makes his triumphant return bearing gifts. So when TJ joins us, he's going to be joining us for 4 games on today's card. 1 is the gift, and 3 were almost gifts. But only 1 is the gift. He'll be joining us for 4 games here. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play of the day is in. It is the Braves -1 at -127. The Braves -1 at -127. Let me make sure that is copied and pasted. Here we go. Where the hell? Too many pages of notes. All right. I have no idea where that Braves game is. Not a clue where the Braves game is. But I will find it. All right. Whatever. Too many pages of notes. Oh, what the hell? It's the first game on the board. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, I had a few beers last night with Slatty. Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
How was the Mickey on the transit?
It was delicious. It's right here beside me. I haven't had a sip of it this morning, though.
How much is left in it?
Quite a bit. You know, I didn't had my wits about me.
Fair
but
enough. Yeah.
But I did take many swigs.
And you haven't had any this morning?
No, I've had none. And, actually, I would like some. I would like some.
Fair
I
enough.
want some. I could.
Mm-hmm.
Very close to grabbing some.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Well, maybe you do. You had a good day in baseball yesterday. What's a little taste? It doesn't hurt.
It doesn't help.
I think it does. You know, and the door's closed. Who's gonna tell? Not I. You know she doesn't watch. We know what it is.
Ella watches though.
Oh, no way. I've said some terrible things on this program. Sorry.
There you go. What up? I don't think Jose is helping me. I don't think Jose is helping my life here. Razor sharp picks coming off a gambler's first glance winner with the Yankees money line. I was riding with you, razor sharp picks. Is anybody hotter than the razor blade? I say nay. New worker in the house. There's Clint Star, the diehard MMA podcast. Is anyone hot? Maybe it's Clint. God, so many of these cappers are so hot right now. PFL today, Jesus Pineda a plus 260 and KO plus 550. And added Jake Hadley inside the distance of plus 120 for UFC Nashville. Let's copy and paste Clintus Maximus' his action. That guy delivers the goods. He just delivers the goods. Justin McElvey stacks play of the day is in. Cubs team total over 3.5. So he's riding with Morgan Spooner on that look. Let's copy and paste that right now. Get that ready above, with the spreadsheet play of the day. Locked and loaded. Fight Brand B, we got Jay Smooth, Nasty Nate, Tori Coker, Reclaim James, Brandon the Great, North Ender, Fly White Mike. I didn't realize, Jose, Fly White Mike, Michael Irvelina.
Yeah.
Mr. Michael Irvelina, Mr.
Yeah, people are out there using his full government names, making burners of Michael. That's how fucking popular the guy is. So you had to make a new name. Shout out to Michael. Fly White Mike.
Mike M says, I was so distracted with Jose's rabbit hole yesterday. I thought it would be a horrible day. No, it was a bookie hammer day. Let's run it back. Sammy Calmer, Roger Federer, Justin McElvey, Tori Coker, Michael Johnson. Nasty Nate says Browns was good money. Also took him live at plus 8.5. And I was too involved in the conversation to focus on betting the over live, which I told you guys all to do. I was very pleased at myself for cashing the first quarter under, and I just sat back and enjoyed the cash. So I didn't, but I hope you guys did, because it was readily available for cashers. Readily available. George Swanner in the house has cashed the Boston Sebastian Baez live this morning, plus 145. Already hitting the bookies early. George in the house. Not flush Allen ready to go. There's Slatty. There he is right there. Watching cash first quarter in the Jets game with Team Beauty. Yeah. And Manoah Day today. Yeah, it felt good, man. I get this. That's the sickest high I think I've ever got. Vince Armenti says, I got $100. Where to put it? Well, if you're not looking at tits right now, then you must bet it on sports. Philly Eagle Flyer, Troy Torrance, Nut Flush, Allen, Markel, Serious Business, BT, Tom Miggins. Rangers money line. Oh, no, Bragg's money line for a PFL. Okay. Tom Miggins, Hamlet, plus 180. Got to copy and paste all of this. Arnillo in the house. Kong's Clips up 11 units yesterday. Mr. Heat, Sancho, saturated. What a group, man. What a fucking group we have. DC Capper. Okay, I got to copy and paste these looks here.
Looks like you got some sleep last night.
I did not. That would be a bold-faced lie. That would be I didn't even go to my bed last night.
Good.
I came home and capped on the couch till about 3:30, and because I knew if I sleep on the couch, I'll wake up. It's a horrible sleep. It's awful. If I sleep in my bed, then 6:30 alarm goes off, and I'm like, nah. But if I'm on the couch, sweating, it's awful. I'll get up.
I see you can knock out anywhere. Shout out to the Pub Sports Radio couch.
Yeah, very, very comfortable sleeps I've had there. Very, very comfortable sleeps. Justin McAfee said, I gifted a membership this morning, but I don't see it to you. I don't see it, Justin McAfee, but thank you, my friend. Thank you. Antoine Taylor, Professor Chris. It's a great, great group. Mark Schillingberg, Craig Wood. Okay, we got Brett Kinney says just took the Cubs money line. Nate Dogg, 420. Joey Marinaccio. Luke Murphy. What a group. Okay, so there's my guy, the Nuke Worker. It says Browns money line thanks to Matty Ice. We don't talk about we don't talk about the scores or the big cash scores that I won't say, oh, my friend just made X amount of dollars. I'll let them do that. I don't need to be this messenger of, whatever. If they want to talk about it, they can talk about it, whatever. But Matty Ice made an alarming amount of money yesterday. An alarming amount of money. Matty Ice made what some people make in 6 months at a job on one parlay. And it all came down to one game. Jose, do you think he hedged when he had a ridiculously enormous score in front of him? Do you think he hedged on it?
No, I think Matty Ice's balls are the size of fucking Canada themselves.
Giant balls banging around, slapping around. Balls that sit in toilet water because they're so enormous.
Do you think it's uncomfortable, like his day-to-day life?
Oh, yeah. I think it's a problem. I think he doesn't sit. I think he has to stand everywhere. Yeah. All right. It is time to get to work right now. Oh, Saturated just talked to the Korean consulate. They told him Cubs, motherfucker. Okay, interesting. Kelly McKinnon says Stamp sucks, so I would roll with it. We have just the man to answer all of that. Just the man to answer all of those questions. It's time to get to work. Thank you guys so much for being here and supporting the show. It truly means the world to us at Pub Sports Radio. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now let's get to work with the fucking money. Please welcome the star of our Friday shows here on Betting with the Bag, coming to us from Canada's Steel Town, Canada's black and yellow. Please welcome Mr. Ian Cameron to the show. Bobano, how are you, my friend?
Good to be back, Jimmy. Let's do it.
Let's get to work, my man. Troy Torn says you got to hedge that big of a score. I don't think you do. I think it's all about whether or not do you need the money? Do you like the money? That's the difference. If you need the money, yes.
Are you satisfied with the cash out amount that's there at the moment? Is what you're.
Yeah. Or do you have these giant balls that are banging around?
Situational.
So he wanted all of the money. He wanted every cent of the money. What some people make in 6 months, he made it yesterday in a 6-game parlay, and he had one game left. All 5 of them were in the afternoon, so it's just one night game. Wow, they got it. All right, let's get to work right now. Toilet nuts, reclaimed James calls them. Toilet nuts. That doesn't sound as good, though. That doesn't sound as good. It is great to have you back, Bobano. Let's get right into the Canadian Football League. We start this evening, Friday, August 4th, 9 p.m. Eastern. Oh, and there is the Cappers contest and Survivor contest. Bobano, what place were you in the Cappers contest out of 66, I think? 66 players. What place did you end up last year?
You know what? Some people say when you're runner-up, it's the worst position to finish. I don't see it that way. I think finishing second is a great accomplishment. I'm proud of it. And second last year.
Yes, second last year. And I think that Jose feels the same way. about you coming in second place. I think he feels the same way. I think he's very, very proud of you coming in second. Oh, here he is.
I disagree. This year, it's hashtag beat Bobano. Bobano got away with second place because I've got these fat, stupid donkey fingers on my fucking monos. It's beat Bobano this year, too. Damn it.
Okay. All right, let's get to work. Argonauts at Calgary.
I'll remember that the next
Stampeders.
time you need an emergency replacement for Say Hey Plays, Jose.
Oh, man. You handled his 4 picks in the final week of the season much better than Pistol Pete Loshak. He pointed and laughed. He pointed and laughed at our friend Jose. You didn't. You handled it with class, and you got to cash out what Jose would have cashed out if he didn't have these sloppy donkey fingers. All right, Toronto Argonauts 6-0, 3-0 on the road at the Calgary Stampeders 2-5, 0-3 at home. We're at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, Alberta. 71 Fahrenheit and light rain. Light rain. Looks like it'll be raining softly throughout. 9 miles per hour is the weather. The Argos are dominating the league. 6-0 against the spread. 36.2 points per game. And I keep, for whatever reason, thinking that this is going to stop at some point. That they can't just dominate every team in this league, but they continue to do so. And the lines, which I think are ridiculous, I thought 10.5 was too much in the Atlantic Showdown. God damn, was I wrong. 31-13 beatdown. This one opened up at 8. It opened up at 8, and the first move, Bobano, back on Monday was to the Stamps. Went to 7.5. Since then, it's gone to 8, 8.5, 9. Oh, actually, Pinnacle's still just hanging the 8.5. But, Will Hill's hanging a 9. My bookie a 9. Bet Chris has moved to 9.5. Bodog and Bovada are at 9.5. From a total side of things here, we have a very high number, and it's because the Argonauts are putting up enormous amounts of points, 36.2 a game. This opened up at 51, and there's been a 10-cent move to the under. That's all. Opened up at 51 on Monday. There's been a 10-cent move to the under. The Chad Kelly is the best quarterback in the CFL right now. I mean, I think it's safe to say that. Now, after the performance from the Bombers last night, I mean, it's arguable, but he's been excellent this year. Stamps coming off a 25-18 setback in Montreal. Jake Mayer has not been good this year. He has been bad, and it's created a situation where they're unable to run the ball because people aren't scared of Mayer beating them. So they are running 56.1 rush yards per game, and this Argos defense, we're talking about a team that averages 36.2 points per game. Their secondary is unbelievable. They stop the run with ease. They allow the second fewest yards per rush attempt. Now, the Stamps defense is actually pretty good. They are allowing, which is surprising, which even surprised me, second fewest yards per play. But they just made mistakes and fumbles and getting in terrible field position, and they just made mistakes, littered with mistakes. I keep hemorrhaging money every time, except when the Argos beat the Lions. I was all over the Argos there, and then for whatever reason, I've just handled them poorly. You have not handled them poorly, Bobano. Take it away. Tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, you can catch us in America on CBS Sports. Toronto Argonauts, Calgary Stampeders. Take it away, Bobano.
Yeah, I want to get the show moving today, so I'm going to keep the analysis short. Sure. Toronto scored 31 in every game. I like the Argos team total over 30.5 plus 103 at Pinnacle. That's one play on this game. The other is the full game over. I know there's a chance of showers, but it's not going to be steady rain. It's not going to be heavy rain. 40% is the chance of rain. You may not even see any rain. So, and I don't think it's going to impact the scoring that much. And look, we saw, I don't want to say last night was a shootout, and I didn't expect last night to be a shootout, honestly. I didn't bet the total in that BC-Winnipeg game, but I thought it would actually stay under, and it didn't. But this is one I like from the beginning of the week, over 50.5. I think it gets there. Calgary's played 2 shootouts in a row at McMahon. The Saskatchewan game was a wild one, high scoring. And, of course, the game against Ottawa 2 games ago. What was that? And 44, 41, something like that. It was just an absolute insane high-scoring affair with the Redblacks and Stamps. I think Toronto can score in all three facets tonight. That's what I see. And that's why I like the team total as well. Toronto's offense, Chad Kelly, can throw it, can run it. They've got Ouellette and Harris at running back. They can run it, and Calgary can be beaten on the ground. Calgary's run defense, gave up some yards to stand back last week. They can throw it. They've got a good receiving core. They can score on defense. And Jake Mayer, by the way, has thrown a pick six now in multiple games this season, including last week. And I think there's a good prop at FanDuel. Toronto Argonaut defense, touchdown scorer prop, plus 240. It's a great bet because there's a very good chance that another pick six could happen here. And this is maybe one of the best ball hawking defenses in the CFL. So that's not a bad prop. I'm not making it official, but I would look at that plus 240 maybe for Toronto defensive score in this game. But I think Calgary will score some points. If you actually look at last week's game in Halifax, Saskatchewan piled up 400 yards. They actually moved the ball against Toronto, but Mason Fine had interceptions. They fumbled it down by the goal line. All kinds of issues finishing drives, but they moved the ball in between the 20s. Saskatchewan last week against Toronto, they just didn't finish. So I think Calgary with the receiving core they have with Mark and Michelle back and Trey Odoms Dukes and Clark Barnes and a lot of other receivers have stepped up, even with Malik Henry out. I think they can put some points on the board. I do think Toronto will do the bulk of the scoring. They'll win. I'm not sure about cover, but I think they'll win. I'm certainly not fading a team that's 6-0 straight up, 6-0 against the spread so far this season. So Toronto team total over 30.5 plus 103 and over 50.5 minus 112 at Pinnacle.
Over 50.5. Sorry, I had the over 50.5 at minus 112. You are in business.
And Toronto can score on all three phases: offense, defensive score they could have, and special teams, because this leak that they've found with their kick returner, he is dynamic. He's setting them up in great field position. So I actually like the team total personally more than the full game over, but I like both, and they're both official.
You got him locked in. I am going to stay off of this football game. I have 4 units, which is, I cut my CFL from 200 to 150 as I've not been succeeding like yesteryears. So I have 600 invested in the next game, and I'm just going to let this go. I lean to the under. I just want to. I'm going to stop getting in the way of the Toronto Argonauts. I'm going to stop getting in the way of the Atlanta Braves. I'm just off. And I will cheer you on, Bobano.
This is across the board, by the way. There's everybody that I know that has bet CFL for years and is I consider astute in the CFL. Every single person is either treading water or worse. Like, it's not been an easy year for a lot, and that myself included. I'm treading water in the CFL right now. Well,
we've got a lot of season left, and I'm very excited about it. And I'm very excited about the next game. But our thoughts need to be with our guy, J.A., in this one. He needs Argonauts first half, and I think he means an over first half. Argonauts first half and over first half, and the Roughriders money line to hit a 13-team parlay. We'll get to that Roughriders spot. I would like to bet against the Roughriders. I would like to bet. I need to talk it out because what teams are doing to old Dusty Crumbs right now is violent. They're trying to hurt him. And it's like every time he leaves the pocket, I'm like, oh, no. It's a simple plan. They're trying to hurt him.
I am worried he's not going to finish the season. I really am.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, my God. So we'll talk about that here. And Rod's Wacky Kill and CFL. I love it. All right, let's move on to Saturday's game. This is my heaviest investment of the weekend of the week. We have the Montreal Alouettes 3-3, 1-1 on the road at the Hamilton Tiger Cats 3-4, 1-2 at home. Tim Hortons Stadium in Hamilton, Ontario, and our man Bobano will be right there at the game. 75 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 6 miles per hour is the wind. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have, first off, this total has been dropping, and I got late. I got in on it late. It opened up, I guess, Pinnacle. They're a sharp book. They opened it up at 45.5, but I have heard that other books who came out the earliest. I'd like to check Bet Online on this. I heard that it was as high as like 47 and 48 at some books. This opened up at 45.5. It went to 46, 45.5, and now it's at 45. I just want to check Bet Online quickly to see if that is true here. Let me just see. Bet Online, open this up. No, BetOnline opened this up at 46. So I'm not entirely sure, but I have heard it was higher at some offshores. So opening up 46, it's now at 45. From a point spread standpoint, this opened up at a 1. It opened up at 1, and it got to +1 for the, well, I should flip it. The Alouettes opened up at +1 and then -1. And there was a huge move on Tuesday at 1:30 in the morning, a 1.5 point move. But it was, you could tell it was happening because it moved to -1 at -115, and there's -1 at -124, -1 at -139. One of the things Pinnacle does out of safety is they won't change. They won't give you alternate lines, and they're worried. They know that this is CFL can beat them. So then they had that -1 at -147. Until they moved it to -2.5 at -120. It's -2.5, -120. North End saying you only saw 46, and Nate Dogg 420 on the Owls -3. So the Alouettes come in off a strong 25-18 victory at home over the Stamps. Cody Fajardo has been very good this year. He wasn't being protected early in the season. The offensive line has been a big strength recently and have come together, but he has been so good. I mean, we're talking about pass efficiency, passing yards, barely getting picked, and he's getting protected now. The defensive line has been a problem. They're not getting enough pressure, and I'd like to hear what Bobano thinks about Sean Lemon being signed, and now with a week of practice under his belt. I'm very interested to hear if you think he will be a big difference maker. He's the reigning Western Division Defensive Player of the Year. The Tiger Cats coming off a hard-nosed 16-12 win at Ottawa on the driving rain. They looked mean and they hit so hard. This is a defense that allows 28.1 points per game, the most in the CFL. That defense looked nasty in the rain. They were beating up on the quarterback. They were winning the battle in the trenches. That game should not have been 16-12. Hamilton completely outplayed Ottawa in that one. But Bo Levi Mitchell got hurt again. I do not believe in Taylor Powell. I think Taylor Powell is a perfect quarterback for us to make bets around because we know exactly what he's going to do. He's not very mobile. He passes these short, tiny dink and dunk passes. It gets first downs. It keeps the clock moving. And just like Fine in the Roughriders, I don't trust him in the red zone unless he's running the ball because no one's expecting him to run the ball down low. So I just don't trust Taylor Powell here. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I got the Alouettes first half money line at -120. I got them full game -2.5 at -110. I got the first half under 22.5 at -105. And I got the full game under 45 at -110. This is my heaviest investment of the weekend. Take it away for us here, Bobano Alouettes at Tim Hortons Stadium against your hometown Tiger Cats.
Yeah, I mean, Hamilton starting to, I don't know if beating Ottawa twice and Edmonton is signs of putting it together, but, at least it's a step in the right direction. Say this, their defense is starting to play well, and that's a good sign. And I thought coming into the season, that was a very good, in terms of level of talent, personnel, thought they had the potential to have a pretty good defense, and it didn't look like it early in the season. But they're getting better, and they said it all week long. Casey Sales and Jameer Thurman, and a lot of these new faces on this defense saying we just needed some time. When you're a playing defense in football, it's not just about me doing what I need to do. It's knowing what the guy next to me and his tendencies are. And they say we're starting to figure that out now. And as a group, the defensive line's getting better. The secondary is starting to finally, coverage down the field has gotten a little bit better. And look, you got to give the Ticats credit for one thing. Nobody's been able to shut down Dustin Crum, until they were able to do that last week in the win against Ottawa. So credit to this defense. It's getting better. The offense is still a mess, though. And we certainly saw that last week, even with Bo Levi Mitchell back, 5 interceptions. I'm not sure. To be honest, though, I don't know if it's a huge downgrade, honestly, especially if Bo's going to play like he did last week, going from him to Taylor Powell. But Taylor Powell just didn't show you enough in the game against Toronto a couple weeks. Obviously, a great team. He did play a very good opponent in that first start playing the Argos, but I didn't see any explosiveness. I saw a lot of dink and dunk, a lot of 2-and-outs. The interception, I don't blame him for in the Toronto game. It was a tip ball. But there just wasn't a lot of production. from the offense. So I think your look toward the under definitely makes sense here in this game. I mean, if I were to, I don't bet unders, but I can recommend unders, and I would recommend an under here. I think if you're going to look at the total, I believe the first meeting stayed under the total as well with Montreal and Hamilton. And we know the Hamilton-Toronto game 2 weeks ago at Tim Hortons Field with Powell under center stayed under as well. So I think the under is probably, I think it's a lower scoring game. And I think Hamilton's defense can keep Montreal in check. I don't look at this Montreal offense as this juggernaut, and they are a run first. Well, they want to establish the run with stand back. As far as the side goes, look, the initial move to Montreal, I could see it because I do think Montreal, even in my power ratings, slightly ahead of Hamilton. But, it is a revenge spot for the Ticats. They lost at home to Montreal. And I don't like the state of this injury report going into this game for Montreal, the more I look at it. Avery Williams, one of their best linebackers, is out. 2 starting defensive backs in the secondary, Deontay Ruffin and Najee Murray, are out. And that's in addition to Seontae Evans, a veteran cornerback for them who's been out for several weeks. Keon Julian Grant. This is not a loaded receiving core, but Keon Julian Grant is one of their best receivers. He's out. He's not going to play in this game. They were worried Austin Mack, their other big-time receiver, whether he was going to play, but thankfully he is going to be on the field for the Alouettes, and they're probably thankful for that because without Julian Grant, if they had no Julian Grant and no Austin Mack, that was going to be a problem for Montreal in this game. Slatty mentions, Fajardo got a little banged up in that game. I think it's nothing major. I think he'll be fine. He'll be able to play. But there are some injuries here for Montreal. So if you got in early on Montreal, good, but I don't like this is a little bit of a banged up team going into Saturday night here against Hamilton. So I have nothing on the side. I lean under. That's it. Nothing official on this game, but it is kind of buyer beware now with Montreal because they've got some key personnel, both sides of the football, not in the game, but can Hamilton's offense take advantage of that depleted secondary in particular with a guy that hasn't been throwing deep in that first start? We saw Powell. There was no deep balls, no threat of vertical explosion in the passing game at all. If Hamilton's got the balls and Tommy Condell, their much maligned OC, I would test that secondary. I would let Powell rip it down the field and maybe throw Montreal off guard because I'm sure they expect Hamilton to be conservative. I would say what they did with Schultz for the first time Hamilton played Montreal, where Schultz bombed it on the first play of the game down the field to Tim White, set him up in the red zone. Let Powell cut him loose. Let her rip. This is a wounded secondary right now. We'll see if Hamilton's got the guts to do that. For me, it's a lean to the under. Pass altogether, though.
I thought I said on Tuesday when TJ asked about CFI, I said that the under here was the best bet I thought of the week. Yep. We will see if that comes.
That's the thing.
The Bombers
depleted, banged up secondary would have you thinking, how can I bet the under? But do you trust this Hamilton offense to take advantage of that weakness? I don't know. I don't. Because we just didn't see enough of it in the Toronto game.
7.3 yards was Powell's passing depth.
Yeah,
7.3 yards.
That's low for CFL. Very low.
That's by far the lowest in the league this year, and which means he does get first downs, which is perfect. Clock keeps moving. Yep. All right, Rod Zawacki is using an alternate line, Montreal -6.5. Let's move on to the Sunday game and then get into baseball. Sunday, August 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Ottawa Redblacks 3-4, 1-2 on the road at Saskatchewan. Roughriders 3-4, 1-2 at home at Mosaic Stadium, Regina, Saskatchewan. 80 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 13 miles per hour. I think what hurt. Okay, I watched the 16-12 win by the Tiger Cats against Ottawa, and Crum was getting hurt, but he bounced up every time. Look, this is a tough kid. He bounced back up every time. He took one hard hit and his hand was bleeding, and it was dry. But I think the driving rain was a real issue with him. Now it affects the defense as well. And look, the offense is supposed to know where they're going, and that can make it hard to tackle. But it hurt him and it hurt his mobility. And there is some wind in Regina, 13 miles per hour. Not that much, but there is some wind here. So I think running will be important. Both teams here come off ugly losses last week. The Redblacks come in off a 16-12 loss at home to the Ticats in the pouring rain. And on the other side of things, we watched the Roughriders lose in the Atlantic Showdown badly, 31-13. And Mason Fine has not orchestrated a touchdown drive yet. I mean, what we're seeing is he's putting up passing yards. He's doing a lot in garbage time. If you just look at his statistics, you think, oh my God, he threw for 400 yards, but he can't get the job done when it matters most. And I want to back Ottawa. Saskatchewan opened up at +1 at -108. They're now +1 at -101. So, 7 cents of movement. I want to bet Ottawa, but it was tough watching Crum get demolished all over the field. And it's got me from betting this game at this point. This total opened up at 44, at -111 to the over. It's now -108 to the over. So we've had no movement on that total at 44. Nate Dogg like an Ottawa -1.5. I want to do that, but I just want to talk it out here because the legend of old Dusty Crum took a hit in that loss against the Tiger Cats at home. And he still, when he moves the ball with his legs, he's very, very good. As good as we've seen in a while in this league. And the Redblacks defense is just different with Santos Knox and Carriel Brooks. Just different. I mean, you could see it throughout the game. And is that going to change what this team was? Because we watched Crum's first 2 games, and they went over by 25 points. And now, is this going to be a team that trusts their defense, allows Crum to not have to make big plays? I'd love to hear your take on that. Roughriders come in with Mason Fine and a banged-up offensive line that has allowed 28 sacks this year, and Ottawa's defense, especially that front four, can get after the quarterback, and the Roughriders do not win or cover at Mosaic Stadium anymore. It's not a scary place to play. It's not this feared gauntlet. So I would like to fade the Roughriders, but I need maybe a push in that direction. Most I love it. Take it away, Bobano, our final game of CFL before we get into MLB. Ottawa Redblacks, Saskatchewan Roughriders.
So the 3 teams that I don't want to say stink. Edmonton truly does stink. The other 2 to me aren't that good, though. Saskatchewan and Calgary. They're like the 3 bottom teams in the West. Saskatchewan, Calgary, and Edmonton. You know that those 3 teams combined are 0 against the spread at home this year? All 3 teams. Calgary hasn't covered a game at McMahon Stadium. Edmonton, obviously, at Commonwealth Stadium. And Saskatchewan haven't covered a point spread at home. And this dates back to last year with Saskatchewan, where down the stretch when things fell apart for them, they were brutal at Mosaic Stadium. So this years and years, this discussion about how feared Mosaic is, the loudest stadium in the league, the best home field advantage in the CFL, and it just isn't the case right now. And it's not because the fans are all of a sudden not loud. It's because the team is just not as good. And we're seeing it right now with Saskatchewan. I think Ottawa's best football is still ahead of them. If you start to look at how this team is starting to get healthier, you mentioned it last week, Jovan Santos Knox at linebacker returned from injury. Carriel Brooks, an all-star corner last year, returned from injury for Ottawa last week. Braylon Addison, remember that name, former Ticat receiver, a big offseason addition for Ottawa. Hasn't played yet this year, but will return from injury that's kept him out to this point. He'll make his Redblacks debut here. Braylon Addison, when he's healthy, he's a premier receiver and another weapon for Dustin Crum in the passing game. Look, there's going to be people that look at last week, right? Lost to Hamilton, 16-12, only put up 12 points. Oh, the book is out on Dustin Crum now. People have figured out how to defend him. There's going to be some people that think that now all of a sudden they figured out the rookie quarterback, and now it's nothing but downhill from here for Dustin Crum. But I'll caution you about believing that going into this game, because if you look at that spot, the mother of all brutal spots, okay, couldn't have been worse for Ottawa. Could not have been any fucking worse, that spot for them last week. Think about it. Overtime comeback win against Winnipeg at home. Fly out west to Calgary. You're in another barn burner that goes to overtime. You win again. And then you go from Sunday and back-to-back overtime wins, that overtime win against Calgary on a Sunday, to a Friday home game against Hamilton. 4 days in between. You're gassed. You're emotionally and you're physically spent. And they had nothing against Hamilton. Nothing. They hit the wall is what happened. And even with that, they were in the game because they hung in there. But that was just an absolutely brutal spot for Ottawa last week. Throw it in the garbage can. I still think they're fine. No need to panic. It was a brutal spot off 2 overtime wins, playing on a short week. And now you go from losing Friday, and now the team's focused again. We had a loss. It doesn't feel good having our little win streak snapped. And now you go from a Friday game to a Sunday game, 9 days to prepare for Saskatchewan here. It's a great bounce back spot for what I think is the team trending up, facing a team trending down. Saskatchewan's O-line has given up a league worst 28 sacks this year. Mason Fine hasn't led this team to a single touchdown drive in 2 games. Now, granted, Toronto and BC, tough competition, but offense hasn't been clicking. Defense hasn't been as good. They're giving up big plays, Saskatchewan, and we're not used to that. Their special teams kick coverage has been brutal. And Ottawa's got a bunch of special teams danger. And although Dandridge, who's been so good in the secondary for them and returning kicks, is questionable, and he hasn't practiced yet this week. So that would be an absence for Ottawa that's concerning. But that being said, they're getting healthier elsewhere. Like I said, Addison's back. They got Brooks and they got Knox back last week. And Saskatchewan, they just got Braden Lennius back from injury, and he's injured again. And they're still not close to getting Darrell Walker, Kean Schaefer, Baker, Breskeson, some of these other receivers back from injury. So I just think it's just asking, to me, Jimmy, the better of the 2 teams to win the game against a team that can't win or cover these days, it seems, at home anymore. So I like Ottawa money line here, and I'm going to make that official. Minus 120 at DraftKings. And I'm also going to get in here at Bookmaker Chris, my second over of the week. Over 43.5 minus 115 at Bookmaker/Chris. I'm going to get on that. Here's why I like the overs. It's not the same Saskatchewan defense. You know, they have been giving up points. Look what Calgary's done to them a couple of times. Look what Toronto did to them last week. And I think Dustin Crum in the offense, after, tough spot, improving Hamilton defense, they bounce back. And look, the thing that someone that I did a show with this week about the CFL pointed this out to me, Jimmy. Teams that are facing Dustin Crum for the first time, defenses, they're the teams that have struggled to stop him. Hamilton was seeing Dustin Crum for the second time last week, because if you remember, Crum came into the game for Masoli against Hamilton earlier this year. So they got a second look at Crum, but the first time defenses have faced Crum, they're not ready for it. They're just not ready for that speed that he has, and it can be a big-time adjustment. So I think this offense will have a much better bounce-back performance in this game. But Saskatchewan's offense, and I mentioned this earlier against Toronto last week, they did hang 400 yards on the board, but 13 points because they turned it over constantly. But they did move the ball. They just didn't finish drives. If they finish drives even just a little bit more in this game, I think 43.5 will prove to be too low.
I like it. I like it. I like the Redblacks. I think I just needed a push in that direction. You're also on the full game over 43.5.
That's right.
Bobano is on the over. What was the juice on that?
So I got 2 plays on 2 of the games and nothing in the Hamilton game. Oh, the juice was minus 115 for the total.
All right, you are locked in. That is our CFL coverage here. Bobano's on the Argos team total over 30.5 and the full game over 50.5. I'm not on that one. I'm on the Alouettes first half. Money line minus 120, full game minus 2.5, minus 110. I'm on Montreal Hamilton first half under 22.5 and the full game under 45. And then Bobano is on the Redblacks minus 120 and the over 43.5. I would like to join on the Redblacks. Let's get into Major League Baseball. Coming off a 5-3 day, we have one afternoon game. 15 games, a full card to break down. Bobano will be breaking all these games down with us. And we have our friend TJ, who is here bearing gifts. He is here to bear gifts. The gift play of the day is now 30 wins and 14 losses, hitting at 68.2%, up 15.93 units, an ROI of 33%, an average line of minus 103. It's so good that we want him on. So he's going to talk about 4 games. Now, only one of them is the gift, but he's going to talk about 4 games. So you're going to hear some almost gifts as well. Saturated says Cubs are coming for that NL Central. Well, let's get this started because our man TJ is on this very first game as well. But is it the gift? We will find out here. TJ, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you. It is not, but I have a position on it, and more than happy to share. I did just add our average line might go down, up, whichever way you see it. It's gonna fluctuate just a tiny bit today because there's one bet that I'm gonna give out. We'll call it gift number 2. It's juicy, but if you can lay it, it's good.
I like the sounds of it. Let's get to work. We start at 2:20 p.m. Eastern. Atlanta Braves 69-37, 32-17 on the road at the Chicago Cubs, 56-53, 30-27 at home. We're at Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois. This is a fascinating spot. We have Max Fried making his return off the 60-day IL, 76 Fahrenheit at first pitch, 7.8 miles per hour in. It goes from 7.8 to 11.1 miles per hour, always in. Ballpark Pal has Wrigley Field minus 12% home runs, minus 3% doubles and triples, and minus 9% runs. Kelly McInnes on the over 8.5. We did hear some looks already. The Stacks play of the day is the team total over 3.5 for the Chicago Cubs. That comes from Justin McElvey. And our friend Ron Crawford made Atlanta -1 at -127. The spreadsheet play of the day. Shout out to our guy, Ron Crawford. Going to our line history of this spot and the cash flow. Let's go there, set a quick table, and then hear what almost was the gift and hear how Bobano is moving on this one. We'll start with the money line. This money line opened up on the Braves at -160. Now, this line didn't come out of Pinnacle till 8:02 this morning. Opened up at -160, and we're now at -169. It got up to -176 at 14 minutes ago. In the last 14 minutes, we've had a 7-cent move to the Chicago Cubs. But overall, we've had a 9-cent move to the Atlanta Braves. Let's take a look at the total on this one. Full game total at Pinnacle, sitting at 8.5 right now. We just heard about the over 8.5 from Kelly McInnes. We've heard of Stacks play of the day. And Nutflush has a question that I may ask him. Here. And Saturated says he made a spreadsheet too. It says Cubs in every cell, every row, and every column. Okay. All right. This total opened up at 9. Now, it was heavily juiced to the under at -118. And within 5 minutes, there was a 10-cent move to the over. So by 8:07, this is over 9 at -105. Insane. I did hit 8.5 at 9:47. Hit 8.5, and right now the 8.5 is juiced to the under. So we have a surprising move to the under. There's Matty Ice in the house. Off an extremely successful day yesterday. We love you, Matty Ice. It's great to see you. Let's talk about the cash flow then. Oops, sorry, that's not it. Let's get the cash. Where the hell is my cash flow? There we go. Let's talk about the cash flow in this spot and then set a very quick table. For the money line, you have 39% of the tickets and 56% of the cash on your Chicago Cubs. For the total, you have it 50-50 with the bets, but 87% of the cash is on that under. Max Fried. He went on the IL on May 9th with a left forearm strain. He made 4 starts at AAA Gwinnett. The last one, he went 4 1/3, and he threw 79 pitches. He gave up 5 runs on 11 hits over his last 7 2/3, over his last 2 starts. Wasn't incredible. 2.08 ERA, 1.08 whip. He is a big part of the expected playoff rotation for the league leading Braves. Kyle Hendricks, 4-5, 3.49 ERA, 1.06 whip. He's coming off a 3-0 loss at the Cards. He pitched very well. 7 innings, allowed those 3 runs, 2 Ks and 1 walk. At home, he's struggled a bit. 1-3, 4.22 ERA, 283 opponent's batting average. The Braves are hitting 265, 860 versus righties since July 1st. Cubs are hitting 260, 772 versus lefties. Both bullpens have been quite good. So we will start with TJ. What was almost the gift?
Yeah, I have a position. I like Ron Crawford's look. I have a -1 on Atlanta. I do a little bit more on the run line. It's not a true -1. If you want to break it down percentage-wise, if you will, it'd be like having 66% of your bet on the run line, 33% on the money line. I don't like what I'm seeing out of the Cubs versus lefties. I mean, it's not bad. It's league average. I think that Fried, I'm not worried about those minor league numbers because when these guys that are, some of the best in the league that are down there, he's throwing one pitch. He might have thrown a couple off speeds in the first inning, but he's throwing his fastball all game. You get the AAA guys that can just sit on it. I'm not concerned with those 2 home runs he gave up. They wouldn't be bringing him up here to rush it, if he wasn't ready. They got everything invested in this guy, and he's one of the best in the league. So I think the move to the under after that initial move to the over shows us that they expect a good outing out of Fried. The lineup just posted. I'm looking at it now. Nico Horner is not leading off, and he's a winner. He is not in the lineup. They got Madrigal in there instead, and Candelario at third. So, I think there's a lot of reasons to be on Atlanta today. I get it's an early game with travel, but the Cubs just had a pretty intense series, and it got close last night. So I could see a letdown for him here. You got to also look at the bullpens. I talked about that yesterday. Real quick here, sorry to stall, but who was it? Leiter and Merriweather both pitched back-to-back game for the Cubs, so they're not going today during a day game after pitching 2 straight. So you got an advantage late for Atlanta. You got an offensive advantage for Atlanta. I'm going to call the starting pitching a wash, and I think it's a good number on the -1 there.
The -1, I'm going to put it into the calculator right now and see what we would get for the Braves -1. While I'm doing that, let's hear how Bobano is attacking our lone afternoon action today at Wrigley Field. Braves Cubs.
Yeah, I'm off this game. I think there's a lot of the Cubs are, to me, a team I'm not really looking to fade right now. They're really gathering some momentum. But I don't love this spot for them. They just played a huge series with the Reds, a very successful series with the Reds, a team they're battling with for the NL Central crown. Atlanta's got the day off to get here to Wrigley. Chicago had to play last night. Big advantage there with Atlanta. And I like Max Fried. I've been a Max Fried guy from the beginning. I think he's ready to pitch well. Like I'm not as concerned. 79 pitches in his last rehab outing. So they did a good job, Atlanta, of ramping up that, getting him ramped up for this first return to the starting rotation. And I don't trust Kyle Hendricks against good lineups. Okay, Kyle Hendricks can shut down the mediocre, below average lineups like the White Sox, like the Cardinals in his last start. But when he faces a really good lineup and a deep lineup, that's sometimes where, and he needs to hit his spots to be effective. He's not a guy that's going to light up the radar gun. You got a really good, strong, deep, patient Atlanta lineup. I'm not sure this is going to be a spot. And by the way, he's got reverse splits going on this year, kind of the reverse of his career. Most of his career, he's been better at Wrigley Field than on the road. This year, he's actually been better on the road than at Wrigley Field. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of went in reverse for Hendricks. So I would lean with the Atlanta side too, but not at that price against the way the Cubs are playing. So pretty easy decision for me to pass it. Same with the total. I think it's over under. I could see it going either way.
I'm comfortable cheering on the gift, the spreadsheet play of the day, the stacks play of the day, and everybody moving on this. I will not be moving on it myself. The -1 right now at Pinnacle. I don't know why I bothered putting in the calculator. Actually, it's 1 cent better than if you take their -1, but it's -135, -135. When Ron Crawford moved on, he got -127. And Slow Jams Arsenal says wind blowing out. Those first 2 games was since he soared over. The wind is not blowing out; is blowing in here. Troy Torrance says I don't love this spot. I agree, some reasons like the Braves, but Cubs are taking them to the deep end. I am off.
Whenever you see an 8.5 total at Wrigley, I can tell you the wind is not blowing out.
Yeah. Totally. Absolutely. That is our first game. Almost the gift, but not the gift. That was not the gift. And it sounds like we have 2 gifts here today. TJ, we will see you here
just real quick,
shortly.
Make sure you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jimmy. I was going to say, also looking at a live Braves bet, if they're down 1 or tied after 3 or 4, because the bullpen advantage is big. I make a lot of money gapping the bullpens, guys.
Oh, well put and very, very important. Well put and very important. We will see TJ very soon. Bobano, next game up for us is at 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Tampa Bay Rays 66-45, 29-26 on the road at the Detroit Tigers 48-60, 22-30 at home, where Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan. Let's go into the weather here in Detroit. 84 Fahrenheit, 6.4 miles per hour out. It's and then the wind's all over the place. It's blowing in after an hour and a half, blowing left to right, but it's not very strong. Between 6.4 and 6.9 miles per hour. Ballpark Pal. Let's see what they have for Comerica. Great stadium. -7% home runs, even 0% doubles and triples, plus 4% overall runs. Zach Little going up against Reese Olson. And Zach Little looks like he's stretched out enough to go deeper in the games. This is not a bullpen day. He went 5 innings in his last start. It was a win at Houston, and that's a tough place to pitch. 2 earned runs in 5 innings. He looked pretty good. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Game number 2 on the slate. This one opened up at 9 at a pick'em, and right now it's at 9 at a juice to the over. 4 cents of movement towards the over. 4 cents of movement towards the over. Let's go over to the money line for this one. We have it opening up with the Rays at -135. The line had been going back and forth. At one point, the Rays got up to -148. And then within 2 hours, they were down to -132, and the market had moved slightly towards the Tigers. There's been a 7-cent move about an hour or 2 hours ago. So there's 5 cents of movement to the Rays. We have 5 cents of movement to the Rays. And I believe I said 4 cents of movement to the over. Let's go over to the cash flow for this one. On the total, it's 50-50. 51% of the tickets on the over, 56% of the cash on that over. And from a money line perspective, 40% of the tickets on the Tigers and 49% of the cash. So it's pretty even across the board. No, that was almost the gift, Joe. That was not the gift. So we have, but he is adding a second gift. But he's going to talk about 4 games that he's got action on, and one is we know is the gift, and then he's adding a gift for us. Mike M says game starting Fridays between 6 and 7 Eastern in first game of the series, 22-8-2 to the over. That's a full season spot, hitting it over 73%. Reese Olson on the other side, 5 innings, 8 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 Ks, no walks. Oh, sorry. Reese Olson, that was Zach Little. Reese Olson, 1-4, 4.71 ERA, 1.13 WHIP. He looked phenomenal to start off his career. And now the book's out on him, and he's having a bit of a tougher time. He's coming off a 6-5 loss at Miami. It was a spot where I thought he was capable of bouncing back. He really didn't. 4 earned runs over 6 innings. Now his numbers at home aren't very good. All of a sudden, 26 2/3. He's 1-2 with a 5.40 ERA. Now he's got 29 strikeouts in 26 2/3. 6 home runs allowed, 231 opponents batting average. He's got an enormous upside. But if the Rays believe in Zach Little, well, we trust the Rays. I don't know why Savali hasn't pitched yet. 219, 681 for the Rays. They're not hitting righties. Almost very similar numbers to the Tigers. 228, 670. Rays bullpen 4.44 ERA. Tigers bullpen 4.73 ERA. And I'll answer your question right after this breakdown, Nasty Nate. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Rays, Tigers at Comerica.
Yeah, to me, this price is short enough that I'm taking Tampa. I'm laying the right road price with them here in this game. I actually like that they lost the finale to Detroit. Or sorry, not to Detroit, to the Yankees. And the day off, rested bullpen, and that's significant. The day off yesterday for Tampa Bay because Zach Little's not going to go very deep. He's only going to pitch 4 or 5 innings, but he's been effective. I mean, he hasn't had a walk in his last 4 appearances. He's been great with his control, great with his command, and I don't think he's given up a home run either. And that's kind of the polar opposite of what we're seeing from Reese Olson lately, where the long ball has been a problem. He's been giving up home runs. He's been giving up hard hit contact. So there's a bit of a gap between these pitchers right now, in my opinion, bigger than this money line price would indicate. We know there's a bigger gap, in my opinion, with these two teams than this money line price would indicate. Little's been capable. And even if he labors in this game, that's a rested, ready, deep Tampa Bay bullpen ready to go for this game after the day off yesterday. And then on the flip side, like I said, Olson, hasn't been great of late. Last 2 starts for Olson, 9 runs, 15 hits in 11 innings. 0-3 in the last 3 starts for Olson are the Detroit Tigers. So they're winless in Olson's last 3 trips to the mound. And on the flip side, you look at how it's gone for Little. And look at, too, about Little, the fact that he's given up Just 5 runs in his last 12 innings when he's faced, Philly, Texas, Houston. He's faced some pretty good teams, pretty good lineups, and he's kept his team in the game, given them a chance. Day off after a loss to the Yankees. Like I said, I think, and the price is cheap enough to me at minus 140 at Pinnacle. So Tampa Bay Rays minus 140 full game.
Bobano is locked in on the Rays at minus 140. I think your action makes a lot of sense. I can really see why you like it.
Yeah, sometimes you talk yourself into circles about these games where Tampa Bay, we know, has the much better baseball team. Why are they only minus 140 here in this game? And this is not that Tampa team that was, spiraling out of control downward a couple weeks ago. They've righted the ship. They've played, a lot better here the last week to 10 days. So to me, it was just, right alongside here, minus 140 with Tampa.
And the total now, so I didn't realize this was that big of a, maybe it just happened, but 53% of the tickets, 82% of cash on the over. I thought it was pretty 50-50 on both the total and the money line, but 53 and 80.
I don't love Tampa overs as much when I know that bullpen is fully rested, and they are today. Yeah,
no, that is true. Bobano on the Rays at minus 140. I wonder if that over is, or maybe just that just happened. Craig Wood said, yeah, because I thought I said it and it was pretty even. Okay, locked in here for Bobano, the Rays at minus 140. Nate, my man, our first poker tournament is 2 Wednesdays from now, in 12 days, August 16th, 8 p.m. Eastern. August 16th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Jose, remind me to mention that we need the time on this thumbnail. So 8 p.m. Eastern is our... Now, when the tournament isn't up yet on BetOnline site, when it is, I'm going to be hammering this all over the place on Twitter and everywhere. So, but I'm just waiting. I want it to be up there so people can actually go in and sign up. So it's not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, and your favorite cast of characters will be live. Jose will be hosting it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Wander Franco RBI at plus 185 and Homer at plus 825 for Mikey. Let's copy and paste that right there. Thank you for sharing that with us, Mike. All right, let's move on. And we move on to the Washington Nationals at Cincinnati Reds, which means we welcome back our friend TJ for this game. Welcome back, TJ. Nats Reds at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati.
We should have kept him on for the last game, even if he didn't have a gift there. I mean,
yeah, but the gifts are hitting at a very, very high percentage. So we're gonna keep it very special right now. We're gonna keep it very special. We're gonna keep it very, very special. But he could be here for all the games. But there's when you're hitting with a 33% ROI, we're gonna see how long this is just the hottest play of the day in sports gambling. Nats Reds over at Great American, 90 Fahrenheit, 6.4 miles per hour left to right, and then down to 5.1 miles an hour out to right field. Nate Dogg says Ashcraft over strikeout Cincinnati money line. This was my first bet of the day, and you guys know that I like Patrick Corbin. But what I like more is pitchers with very elevated statistics that I think are better than those numbers indicate. That's not Patrick Corbin to me. If this was at home, maybe we could talk about Patrick Corbin being, interesting. But I want Graham Ashcraft. Now, I don't love it that Ashcraft shut down a very good Dodgers team, not even allowing a run. Do you want a pitcher after his best start of the year? I mean, that's questionable. But he is bet on right now. And I got a great line at Pinnacle, first 5 minus a half at minus 121. It was 14 cents better than what was available at Bet365. They were hanging at minus 135 for it. And I moved on it. So let's take a look at the line history here for this one. This one opened up with the Reds at minus 175. They're now minus 168. That makes me nervous. 7-cent move away from them makes me nervous. From a total side of things, this opened up at 10.5. It dropped to 10 briefly last night and then back up to 10.5. So right now we have 8 cents of movement on the over. Let's take a look at the cash flow then here for this one. We have 89% of tickets and 78% of cash on the Cincinnati Reds. Let me just go back to the money line here for a second, if you don't mind, and see what exactly happened with this line, because I thought we had a real nice move to the Cincinnati Reds, and we did. The Reds were from minus 175 up to minus 196 at 8 in the morning. Minus 196. Jesus Christ, they've come back 28 cents. Holy shit. Let me just see what that first 5 is now at Pinnacle, minus a half. God damn, this happened. I did not know that this happened. Now the first 5 minus a half is minus 111. Let's move 10 cents in Patrick Corbin's direction. Okay, from a total side of things, 41% of tickets, 75% of cash is on the over. And shout out to our friend DC Capper. The guy wins and wins and wins. I know that we all keep an eye on his action. Thank you so much for sharing some of your profits with us. You're a good man. Means a ton to us. DC Capper with a $10 dono. Thank you, my man. So back to Ashcraft. He fell apart. And he's come back with a vengeance. In July, he started 5 games, 29 in the third, 1.84 ERA. Now the K to walk ratio 17-11, not really where you want it, but he's only allowed 2 home runs with 260 opponents batting average. The Nats are hitting 249, 696 versus righties. The Reds versus lefties 268, 780. The Nats bullpen is 6.55 ERA. Patrick Corbin's coming off a tough start at the Mets, where he allowed 4 earned runs and 2 jacks over 5 2/3. Jesus. Maybe TJ can add some confidence or take it away from us. Let's start with you, TJ. Nationals, Reds.
I hope to add some confidence because I'm on the Reds first 5 minus a half is the gift today. Okay. Got it at 113. I can give a couple reasons for that drastic move. Right, I know there was a group that was on Cincinnati early. I know someone else hammered Washington at about 8 o'clock. And so you saw that huge jump, and then you had people buy back. So I think it's going to keep going through the day. I think we're going to start seeing it turn here soon. I got a bunch of live boards up. So I think you're safe to get in the Cincinnati first 5 minus half now. I don't think it's going to get any lower. Like you were touching on Ashcraft, there's another couple reasons here. The advanced numbers don't like him because he's not a high strikeout guy. All right. So you get a lot of modeling, especially modeling that a few of the first books use that don't like him. Secondly, you got the Reds in their first game back home after a road trip. High emotion road trip. But I got the Washington just doesn't have power. I know the wind's blowing. I know it's, we're expecting runs in Cincinnati. Washington just doesn't scare me. They can put together a bunch of singles. They can nickel and dime you to death, but they don't have that 4-run inning power in them that Cincinnati has. And I'm looking at, Ashcraft has bad home road splits. He's horrible. He's, if you look at the full season, he's really bad at home. But there was a 3-game stretch there where he gave up 7, 10, and then 6. Since then, he gave up 1 to the Padres, 1 to Milwaukee, 2 to San Francisco at home. So it looks to me like he's righted the ship. I think he can get through this Washington lineup fairly easily, with a couple run. If he gives up 2 or less, I'm confident Cincinnati is going to get us 3. So, I could get more into depth, but I don't want to bore you. And Cincinnati first 5 minus a half has a lot of value to me.
Well, I love hearing that. This is a surprise here. And the surprise with the move back. And Chris saying Ashcraft isn't that good, 4.84 season xFIP. Yeah, I don't care about what he's done this season. I don't care what he's done at home. Do I think that he is a pitcher who's going to have a 6.71 ERA at home and a 287 opponents batting average? No. He fell apart just like Alek Manoah. They had very, very, very similar situations, and he's come back with a vengeance. So, and Equinema says he'll take Corbin over Ashcraft any day of the week. It sounds like people who lost money on Ashcraft when he was falling apart, not people who've been making money on him all July. So But the move back does concern me a little bit. Great to hear that TJ's gift is on the Reds. First 5 -1/2. Let's hear what Bobano's doing here for Nationals Reds at Great American Ballpark.
I actually have 2 plays, and one of them is that same play that TJ mentioned with the Reds -0.5, -112 at Pinnacle. So a nice price with that there. I'm going to trust Cincinnati early in this game. They kind of got roughed up against the Cubs in a big series, and now they're back home, and it's time to take care of business against a bad team with a guy that's pitching better in Graham Ashcraft than obviously Corbin. And Corbin's been rough. By the way, these last few, he's been rough more than not this season, but he did have a little stretch there where he was pitching a little bit better. But gosh, these last 2 starts, Colorado and the Mets have just been pathetic. Pretty much 10 runs, 16 hits in his last 11 plus innings. That's just brutal for Patrick Corbin. And Patrick Corbin has had a rough track record against the Reds recently as well. He's really been hit hard. So I'm actually on the over in this game as well at 10.5, because the one thing I like about the full game over is these bullpens are bad, both of them. Washington's bullpen's actually been a little bit better. Cincinnati's bullpen's been bad. Cincinnati's bullpen has a 7 ERA in the last 10 games. Not good at all. And it's part of the reason why, as someone that likes the Reds in this spot, I prefer them in the first 5 because their bullpen's just been lousy, over the last week to 2 weeks. So that's also why I think, if this game's 3, let's say, I think Cincinnati's going to hit Corbin because they've owned him in the past. Corbin's not in good form. I could see this being 5-1, 5-2. Cincy early in the game, and maybe it stagnates a bit, but one or both of these bullpens going to open the door for runs late in this game, in my opinion here, going into this series against the Nats, or with these 2 bullpens. So, I think the potential's there for late runs too. And you talk about ballpark factor. Yeah, that's the number 1 enhancement venue on this Friday MLB card for runs. Great American Ballpark tonight. Based on the conditions. So I think it sets up to get to 11 with the total runs in this game. So Cincy -0.5, -112, first 5, and also over 10.5 for me in this game as well. And you can get that at -108 at Bet Rivers.
Over 10.5. While I'm locking that in for Bobano, and I think you touched on it, and we're thinking that this is probably the low point now on the Reds money line, TJ. Yeah. But Piker says, does TJ think we get better than +110 on the full game run line if we wait?
I think that's going to about settle where it is. Cincinnati's bullpen is wiped, man. I don't know about taking a full game -1.5. I just don't trust, trust it. Yeah. I didn't analyze it too much. I mean, it's not just the Cubs that lit them up. I've been concerned about their numbers for a few weeks here. So
there you go. And yeah, Jonathan, you don't have to be in the poker tournament to be part of the Cappers contest.
And the way I see it, if Ashcraft gets, has a bad start, and I don't think he will, but if he does, then and maybe the Reds' first 5 won't cash. I think the over definitely does if Ashcraft gets lit up early in the game. So the way I see it, 1-1 split, worst case scenario, with a good chance for 2-0 with those 2 plays.
Yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. We have our guy Matty Ice dropping the taint play of the day. It's Baltimore first 5 -1/2. We will get to that game in a little bit. Did you get that over 10.5 -115? Did I write that down right?
-108. Bet Rivers
-108.
A little better juice.
All right, there we go. So I moved on the Reds. I thought I was getting ahead of this big line movement, but it turns out that is not the case. I got -121 on the first 5 -1/2. It's now -112. The gift is the Reds first 5 -1/2. Bobano's on the Reds first 5 -1/2. And he's also on the over 10.5. Vital says the Reds have the best first 5 record at home for this season. Also, this marks a return home after a 3-city road trip. All right. And Joe Yurkovich saying, I like the play, but I think the line is appropriate. He doesn't see value in it.
Those big moves, just a gambling tip here. Those big moves, when you get 20+ cents of line movement early in the day on the overnight, you got sharps that, you got guys that bet at 173, and then you can get +178 on the other side. They're going to take that 5 cents every time. They're going to buy back 80% of their bets because that's how you make an ROI long term. So you have to factor that in.
No, it's a good point and important. TJ stays with us for this next game. Is this the second gift? He has 2 more games with us. We will find out. 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Houston Astros 62-48, 31-23 on the road. At the New York Yankees 57-52, 34-26 at home. We're at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Weather-wise here in New York, we have a 77 Fahrenheit, 10.8 miles per hour right to left, stays right to left throughout the game, and is between 8.8 and 10.8 miles per hour. Ballpark Pal does not have a huge overall runs at +6, but plus 25% home runs, minus 7% doubles and triples. That's very interesting. There are 3 stadiums that have double-digit runs expected. Great America Ballpark is at the top, as Bobano mentioned. Oriole Park second, and Citizens Bank Park in Philly third, all double digits. Fenway Park at 9% is fourth. Take a look at the line history here for this one and the cash flow. On the money line, we have the Houston Astros and Hunter Brown, who looks like he's corrected himself, opening up at -135 and now at -142. I am interested in the Astros, very interested. But when I was looking at it this morning, there had not been a move to them. There was a move at around 9:49 a.m. And now there's 7 cents of movement. So at least we have 7 cents of movement. So we have something towards the Astros. Then on the total, we have this opening up at 9 at a pick'em. There's been 5 cents of movement to the over. Let's take a look at the cash flow then here for the Yankees. Astros, this is a big series. 32% of the tickets and 43% of the cash is on the Yankees. Seems like there might be some sharp money there as that line just wasn't moving and Severino's being bad. Then you have 86% of the tickets and 91% of the cash on the over, and just a 5-cent move, little perplexing. Hunter Brown started off excellently, and then he hit a speed bump. Maybe the book caught out on him. His last 2 starts would be nice. His last start was a quality start at home versus the Rays. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 1 homer, 4 Ks, 2 walks. He's been really good on the road all year. 63 innings, 4-3, 3.71 ERA, 72 strikeouts, 16 walks, 248 opponent's batting average. Sevy has been atrocious this year. We just saw Herman enter himself into the drugs and alcohol program. It's because of alcohol. So Herman is done for the year. Sevy has been bad as well. 7.49 ERA, 1.84 WHIP, 15 home runs allowed in 57 2/3. Coming off a 9-3 loss at the Orioles, he got lit up and smoked. 9 earned runs over 3 1/3. At home, 26 innings, 2-1, 5.19 ERA, points hitting 280 off of him. The Astros aren't smashing righties right now since July 1st, 238, 738. Yankees, I'm still using the numbers since July 1st, and maybe that makes no sense to even talk about them because clearly they're a different lineup with 99 in it. Astros bullpen 4.47 ERA since July 1st. Yankees 3.82. This time we will start with Bobano. Astros, Yankees, Bobano, take it away.
Double up time. Astros first 5. Astros full game for me. I think it's a great bounce back spot. Severino's a guy I faded with the Orioles in the over last Sunday night, and I was quite happy with a 7-0 start in the first inning of that game. Is he going to be that bad tonight? Maybe not, but a 7 ERA, it just tells you all you need to know about his struggles. Like I say, I like Houston off the loss. Another thing, too, when's the last time the Yankees have put a win streak together? Win a couple in a row, and now Rizzo's out. And say what you will, Rizzo hasn't been great. He just got 1 home run in his last 50 plate appearances. But this is a lineup that needs everybody they can have on at their disposal right now. So I think it's a good spot here for Houston. Better starter. Now Brown has gone through some struggles here in the month of July, so that's a concern. But he's faced some tough lineups. He's facing a struggling Yankees lineup. I think the Astros bullpen, all their key relievers are available for the most part tonight in this game. So I'm going to go with 2 Astros bets here. Minus a 125 at Bobano for the first 5 on the Houston Astros, and minus 142 at Pinnacle for the full game on Houston.
You got it locked in, Bobano. Let's hear what TJ's doing. Is this gift number 2?
It's not, but I do have a position on one of Bobano's bets. I first 5. I did not take the full game just because the Yankees bullpen's so good. I have a full run advantage. My numbers for Houston, the first 5 here. You broke down Severino good. You just can't rely on him. I have Brown with good advanced numbers. I expect a good start from him. Did Stan get hurt last night? 2 nights ago?
Let me see if he is.
He's questionable to be in there. He's questionable to be in there.
Yeah.
And by the way, I want to point out there's one bet I forgot to mention. I'm tightening the belt with the strikeout props this week, but this is one I really do like. Hunter Brown over 5.5 strikeouts -130 at points bet. I'm adding that as an official play. Brown's got the kind of stuff that a lineup like the Yankees, which has been strikeout prone against flamethrowers, he could absolutely have an 8, 9, 10 strikeout kind of night. So over 5.5 looks cheap to me.
And what was that juice?
-130.
Okay.
The earned run indicators on Brown, I mean, they're all better than his current numbers. So I'm expecting positive regression. Has got a great 3.5 Sierra, 3.27 xFIP. I think this kid's got it and will show up today.
I find that look appealing. It's what I had wanted. I just didn't understand the market move towards the Yankees, and because of that, because of not understanding it, I wanted to talk it out with you guys. But I love everything I'm hearing, and I love Professor Chris in the chat saying Hunter Brown scores super high for me. Season xFIP 3.27, gets ground balls. Smaller amount of contact he allows is soft contact. DT says if Yankees keep it close, there's a chance, and there's no doubt about that. The Astros bullpen has been vulnerable, not as strong as we remember it to be. So there's no question if the Yankees keep it close, and that's why I would only move. I think I move on this with you guys, but just on the first 5. Which is what TJ's on, Astros first 5. Bobano's on the Astros first 5 full game, and Hunter Brown over 5.5 Ks.
This is another.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
No,
this is another one of those games where I wouldn't recommend taking -0.5 because you're only getting 30 cents of 25 cents if you can find a -125, which is like 4.8% implied probability difference. So you don't want just keep the push and play. Take the money line.
Yeah, I get it. What is the money line? Just quickly here. But is this something I might need to bet sooner rather than later? It's
for me. If it goes up beyond -150, then I look at the -0.5. The first 5 on the favorite.
Wow,
Below that, I just take money line too.
Why on earth would Bet365 put the Astros at -150 and then have them first 5 at -130? Why on earth would Bet365 make them 20 cents cheaper? Why? I mean, I just make what is Pinnacle doing here? I mean, that's just
most books I see an 11 cents difference.
That's just nuts to me. I mean, 20 cents. It's -142 for the full game, -132 for the first 5. I agree with your guys' breakdowns, but I don't know if I join right now. Something just doesn't feel right. Stick with us here, TJ, because the second gift is coming up not in this next game, but the game after. So why don't you stick with us for this Kansas City Royals, Philadelphia Phillies breakdown. Bobano's just loading in his bets when he leaves. He just is putting in his bets. So that's what he's doing right now. So let's go. And DT agreeing that something's just, I'm just going to need a little, it's just, why? What 20 cents with Hunter Brown against Severino? Why? It's like they're just begging me to move on it. Kansas City Royals 35-75, 14-39 on the road. Philadelphia Phillies 59-50, 28-20 at home. Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Big difference between Jordan Lyles on the road and Brady Singer at home. Let's talk about the situation here. We'll start with the weather. The weather here, 80 Fahrenheit, 9.7 miles per hour out to left center, 9.7 to 9.9 miles per hour. Let's take a look at the Ballpark Pals expectations since in Bank Park. I told you it was the third highest offensive ballpark, 33% home run rate, 4% doubles and triples, plus 14% runs. So, and the ribeye play of the day at plus 150. What is it? Oh, it's Tucker. Is that? Oh no, Bryce Harper. Here we go. Okay, sorry. Bryce Harper is the ribeye play of the day at plus 150. What a spectacular run ribeye has been on all year. Shout out to our guy Mike M. Thank you, Mark Schillingberg. It was the most important bet of the night for me. Is the lone double up spot on the car. For that fucking CFL game, but yeah, it was important. It was important. Brady Singer is the gift that keeps giving. It really does. He just keeps putting money in our pocket at home. At home, it must be at home. Let's go to the 3-man spot and keep TJ up here because he's going to be the gift is the game right after this. So we have the ribeye play today in from Mikey M. Start of the pimp slap, start of the hip to be square. Let's take a look at the line history then for Royals Phillies. The Royals are rolling right now. Pinnacle at a 7, or no, longer than that. Jesus, sorry. I thought it was just recently. Pinnacle moved this to 9.5. And right now, when I look around, they are, is that right? They're the only, oh no, Bovada too. Bovada and Pinnacle are the only books at 9.5 on this one. 9.5. Let's take a look at the money line. Next up for this one, the Royals, the hottest team in Major League Baseball. Great. Philly opening up minus 210. They're now minus 233. They got up to minus 255. It was a 19-cent move towards the Phillies at 10:11 a.m. But still a 23-cent move. So we have a move to the Phillies and a move to the over. Let's go over to the cash flow here. 40% of the tickets, 74% of the cash on the Kansas City Royals, but market clearly moving in the Phillies' direction. 75% of the tickets and 95% of cash on the over, but none of the other books have moved and moved the line to 9.5 other than 2 of them. Mike M says Yorfie says yes, run first inning is in a 15-3 spot. Kelly McInnes on the over at 9 as well. Here we go. Professor Chris says when Philly's money line was minus 230, he was trying to pair it with a second leg of a parlay, but he couldn't find anything. Interesting. Troy Torrance says database all over the Phillies. Auto bet, run line, double result, any way you can get it. Let me just copy and paste these 2 spots here. Let's talk about Jordan Lyles. 2-12, 6.15 ERA, but he has been pitching better of late. His last start, he allowed 3 earned runs over 5 innings, and it was a win at home over the Twins. That's pretty much the best you can ask for Jordan Lyles. 3 runs in 5 innings, really. On the road, he's got a 7.52 ERA and a 291 opponent's batting average. Aaron Nola coming off a bad start on the road at Pittsburgh. 4 2/3, 5 earned runs, 7 runs in total, but just 5 earned. He's got a 4.43 ERA. He just hasn't put it together this year. 24 home runs allowed. It's not been good. At home, he's been much better, though. 193 opponent's batting average, 3.27 ERA. Royals versus righties, 247, 696 OPS. Very similar numbers to the Phillies versus righties, 235, 698 OPS. Royals bullpen right now at 5.67 ERA since July 1st. Phillies bullpen still been good. Let's hear from Bobano. Royals, Phillies. Take it away.
I know Kansas City's hot, and I was on them a couple of times against the Mets. It's just a bait of the Mets, and Kansas City starting to play a little bit better. They swept Minnesota, too. Very impressive, but there's no freaking way I'm taking Kansas City still with Jordan Lyles on the mound. I'm just not doing it. Not with that guy. He's the one guy I won't bet them right now. But I ain't laying 260 with Nola and the Phillies either. Nola hasn't pitched as well here. Last 4 starts, dating back to July 9th, he faced the Marlins, Brewers, Guardians, and the Pirates. Not been good. 18 runs allowed over 24 innings for Nola during that span. It's not good, in my opinion. Kansas City's lineup has picked it up a little bit here during this win streak. I think they could actually score some runs here, and I definitely think Philly can do some damage here against Kansas City. Another thing to keep in mind, too, with Philadelphia's bullpen going into this game is the fact that when you look at what they've done here the last few games against Miami, they had to play 3 in a row with Miami without a day off. There was a couple of games, one game that went to extra innings. The good news is they got 8 strong out of Lorenzen, so that helped kept the bullpen fresher than it could have been. But coming off that series here, I think Kansas City can score against Nola and the pen And I definitely think Philadelphia will be able to do some damage against Jordan Lyles. A better Kansas City bullpen lately, but still, do you trust them day in, day out, every single time? No. So that has me looking over the total here. That's going to be my official look here is over 9 with the Royals and the Phillies. And the price for that is minus 118 at Bet Rivers.
Let's get you that right now. So you're rolling also with Kelly McInnes. Let's give Bobano, while I'm putting logging Bobano's action in, TJ, did anything in this game interest you at all, or was it just unappealing from every angle?
There's 3 things you can count on in life: taxes, death, and Aaron Nola at home. I know he's been bad, but he's had one home start mixed in those 5 road ones where he went into the 8th 2 runs. Previous to that, he faced Atlanta, shut him out over 6 innings. I can't fade Nola at home. I never say never, but I won't. I'm off this one. I think the only way to look is the over if you have a look, but I would not back Kansas City here.
Yeah, no, I get it. Well put. Bobano, sorry, what did you get on the over 9?
Minus 118. Minus
Thank you.
118.
Minus 118. All right, here we go. The next game on the card, and man, do I want to talk about this spot. New York Mets 50-58, 24-35 on the road. The Baltimore Orioles 67-42, 32-21 at home. Camden Yards in Baltimore, Maryland. You guys know I it's not been a good season for me, and it's been a good week, and we're starting to move things in the right direction. But the Orioles to win the division is really important. And now I watch every game they play, and I'm winning, betting them on a daily basis. So they're a really nice team for me right now. And I love the fact that they're playing the Mets in a spot where the Mets are no longer, they're weaker. Let's just put it at that. They're weaker. We're in Camden Yards in Baltimore, Maryland, and our Matty Ice rolling with us. And he has moved on Baltimore first 5 minus a half. It's been too long since I've got to play this clip. I miss it. Oh, I miss it.
It took a big payday to get him back here. Yeah.
It took 6 months of salary to get him back here. Baltimore first 5 minus a half from Matty Ice. All right, let's break this down because I wanted to back the Orioles here as well, but the market just put me in a spot where I had to talk it out before I could move on them. Let's take a look at the weather here in Charm City. Great city of Baltimore. 83 Fahrenheit, 9.3 miles per hour out to left. I was blown away when I went to Baltimore. I didn't realize it was such an incredible city. I loved being downtown. I loved it. Let's go to the ballpark pal here. We have plus 2% home runs, plus 6% doubles and triples, plus 15% runs. Let's go to the line history here. We will start with the money line in Baltimore. We have the Orioles opening up at Pinnacle at minus 147. They're now minus 154. They got up to minus 162. I guess, I think that was probably enough for me. I mean, I saw bigger bets on the New York Mets, and that stalled me. But there's, some legit movement towards the Baltimore Orioles. So at least we have that. Let's take a look at the total. This total opened up at 9. A move to 9.5 at 9:53 p.m. and then stayed there for 2 hours. And a little over 2 hours, went back to 9. We have just 5 cents of movement on the Orioles. So slight move to the Orioles and to the over. Take a look at the cash flow then for this one. We have 49% of the tickets and 64% of the cash on the New York Mets. Crazy. Absolutely crazy to me. 75% of the tickets on the over, and we don't have a cash flow I don't know why 8,228 tickets have supposedly been counted. DT says Baltimore and move on. I just David Peterson has been in the bullpen and he's been pitching quite well. Now he gets another opportunity to start, and is he going to get lit up and smoked? And I know a lot of people think he is going to get lit up and smoked. And I can't wait to hear what the panel thinks of Peterson's opportunity here or possibilities here. He's been absolutely atrocious on the road. I mean, I don't know if you can get worse than this. Opponents are Tony Gwynn against him. 336 opponents batting average, 8.41 ERA. He's allowed 8 home runs over 35 in the third. He does have 43 strikeouts in those 35 in the third. Dean Kramer on the other side, it's just not being the Kramer of last year. Last start was a win at home versus the Yankees, but he only went 4 innings, did get 7 strikeouts, allowed 3 earned runs, 4.66 ERA, 1.34 whip on the year, and he has struggled at home. I mean, he's 5-2 because his team is full of monsters, but 5.51 ERA. He's allowed 14 home runs and 63 2/3. Opponents hitting 259 against them. Mets versus righties, 249, 821 OPS. I mean, they're really hitting righties right now, and the Orioles are smashing lefties. This is all stats from July 1st, 282, 817. Both bullpens have been very good. Rocco Rogers says 49% of the tickets, like there's actually regular people besides Sharps backing the Mets. It's nuts. But we have gift number 2. I thought there would only be one gift today. We have a second gift for the low bag community. TJ, I'm all ears. What is gift number 2?
All right, so this one's juicy, but I can't believe DraftKings. I can't bet on DraftKings anymore, so if anybody wants to book my action on that, that'd be great. Minus 165, okay? Baltimore to win the series here. Here's why. We get Kramer tonight, favored. The line's going to keep dropping because there's word in here that Rutschman and or Henderson could sit. First came back, and you're coming back from Toronto. Sharps are going to be on any team coming back from Toronto back home after a road trip. Players just get into trouble up there. But then we got Gibson and Bradish. And then who are the Mets going to throw the next 2 days? We don't know. They have Senga, who's slated to go against the Cubs on Monday. Carrasco just got rocked. Quintana might pitch Sunday. And then you got to throw someone tomorrow out of the pen. So 2 pen days in a row and then Quintana. Yeah, Baltimore's going to take 2 out of 3 here, if not all 3. So series price, minus 165, DraftKings is what I'll be locked in at for the second gift. I know it's a lot of juice. I will be moving on Baltimore minus 1 tonight. I'm just going to wait until lineups come out because that line's going to drop when the public finds out that Rutschman isn't playing. If he is playing, I'll take the price that it is now. Also, Baltimore 6-1 when I'm in the clubhouse, and I'll be in the clubhouse tonight. So I told you I have those couple contacts on that team, and I'll be at the game. Not that matters. I know that's just a random lucky number. But,
No, it matters. It matters enough.
Don't use that in the capping at all. But I like Baltimore tonight. I like the look from Matty Ice, but I would just wait to get a better number.
Wow, that's a great breakdown. DT says Mets are in vacation mode. Cancun on 3. Let's hear what Bobano has to say about this spot. Mets, or there's Jay Peasy in the house. What up, our guy Peasy? Rolling it with us. Take it away for us, Bobano. Do you agree with the taint play of the day, the gift, and the chat on the Orioles? 49% of the tickets are on the Mets, but I don't see one person here on them. Take it away, Bobano.
Yeah, if I was willing to fade the Mets with the Royals twice in the past few days, I'm absolutely in on taking Baltimore here against this team. I mean, I made sure to, because I knew I wanted to bet against this team as much as possible coming out of the trade deadline. And, they know they're going nowhere. They've gotten rid of everybody. Bam, traded. A couple other hitters traded. Of course, Scherzer and Verlander traded. I wanted to see the body language, and it was dead in the dugout. Nobody talking to one another. Feeble at bats. No energy. No life. Lethargic baseball against a really bad Kansas City team, and they got swept. This is Fade City for me. I don't even give 2 shits that they're coming back home from Toronto off a big divisional series. You could put Jimmy, TJ, and Ian out there in the lineup. Probably give you better at bats than the New York Mets right now at this point in time. And look, Dean Kramer's serviceable.
Yep.
Does he get in trouble? Yeah. He's been able to pitch out of it, but he knows how to pitch, and he's the ERA for him in his last 5 starts is actually quite good. You know, a 2.2 ERA. They're 5-0, the Orioles, in his last 5 starts. I know David Peterson, Jimmy did make a nice point that, you know, he's pitched decent here of late. Only 4 runs in his last 15 innings, but Baltimore hits lefties. We know that. Their approach against lefties is very good. Yeah, I have no problems at all, even with the spot, and maybe Rutschman and or Gunnar Henderson, as TJ alluded to, maybe they get rested. It's a deep lineup still, and it's just a team that's just a much better team, much greater energy throughout the clubhouse right now compared to the Mets, where they're just counting down the days for the season to be over. So Baltimore -1, -112 for a full game for me.
Locked in -1 at -112.
Oh, and Kramer over strikeouts too. He's been a sneaky strikeout prop guy, believe it or not. Dean Kramer. It's been funny to watch, but yeah, I mean, he's been getting the Ks lately. You're only getting over 4.5 here, -143 at Botano. So I'm in on that. Over 4.5 strikeouts, -143.
You are locked in. Ken Mizrahi in the house. Great to see you, Ken. Thank you for joining us. Our guys are all over this one, and I get why. Gift number 2 is the Orioles to win the series at -165. The hip to be square play of the day includes your Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore, Houston +192. The hip to be square play of the day starting to heat up. Look out. Starting to heat up. Let me get this here copied and pasted. We have the taint play today on Baltimore first 5 -0.5. TJ says he will be moving on the Orioles at -1. Sammy, I'm going to go over it right now. All of that, my man. Orioles -1 for Bobano. Kramer over 4.5 Ks. So in review, our guy TJ has rocked 4 games with us. He's also on the Astros first 5 -125. And he is also on the Braves -1. But the gift number 1 is the Cincinnati Reds first 5 -0.5 at -112. We've seen a big market move in the last hour and a half against this play. I got it at first 5 -0.5 -121 at Pinnacle and thought I was beating the line move. That's gift number 1. TJ, your gift is hitting at an alarming, otherworldly ROI and percentage. And thank you so much from all of us for taking the time to share it with us and to share it with the community. And you're just a selfless guy, and we're just very, very, very lucky that you roll with us.
Good work, TJ. Great
man,
job.
had a lot of fun. Carry it on, and good luck today, guys.
Thank you, my man.
You too.
And enjoy the game. Have fun in the game, man. That'll be great. Have fun at the O's game this evening. All right, let's roll on. There's our guy, Al Cervic, in the house. Natties at plus monies today. Cincinnati off a 10-game trip, blind betting the Orioles for the rest of the summer. I like all that. JP says, TJ posted up with the goats. What up, playa? TJ is absolute monster and a huge asset to the community. As are you, JPZ, my guy. So we rock on. Now we have a 7:10 p.m. Eastern matchup between the White Sox and the Guardians, a situation at Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio, where these pitchers just faced each other. They just faced each other, and I always find that adds a layer of trickiness. Mike Clevenger going up against Logan Allen. Let's take a look at the weather in Cleveland. 81 Fahrenheit, 8 miles per hour in. Stays between 8 and 7 or 6.6 miles per hour. Let's take a look at what their expectations are. Progressive Field at Ballpark Pal plus 5% home runs, but plus 16% doubles and triples and plus 9%. Very close to double digits. Fenway Park and Progressive Field both at 9%, plus 9% runs. Let's go to the line history then next. Line history-wise, we have, pull this up here. Here we go. We have the Cleveland Guardians opening up at minus 156. They're now minus 162. At one point, they got up to minus 160, and then there was buyback at 8:14 this morning. They got down to minus 151. At that point, there'd been a slight move towards the White Sox. Now there's 6 cents of movement towards the Guardians. I have no faith at all in my plus 390 spot on the Guardians to win the division. Nothing. The Twins are so vulnerable, but I don't even think the Guardians will end up with a winning record this year. I've no faith that it's going to cash. They're only 2.5 games out. I'm watching closely, but I do not expect that to be a casher. This total opened up at 8.5, and it moved to 8 at 8:30 this morning. When it did, it only lasted there for a minute, went right back to 8.5. But then at 9:19 a.m., it went back to 8. That's where it's sitting right now. So we have a move to the under and a very slight move to the tribe. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. We have 59% of tickets and 89% of cash on the under. Then we have 28% of tickets and 70% of the cash on the White Sox, which does explain a little bit about why there wasn't a move until just recently on the Guardians against this White Sox team that's been, decimated at the trade deadline. Thank you, RC, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for the kind words. So here we go. Clevenger's start, it was a 7-2 win at home for the White Sox. Was quite good. 5 innings, no earned runs, 3 Ks, no walks. I mean, didn't go deep, but he got the job done. 3.59 ERA, 1.29 whip on the year. On the road, he's struggled. 4.78 ERA, 2.45 opponent's batting average. Logan Allen was pitching quite well when he got touched up by the White Sox. It was he came into that game looking good. He didn't look good in there. There's our guy Big Show in the house. What up, Big Show? 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 homers, 4 Ks, 3 walks, and 7-2 loss to the White Sox. At home, he's been a little worse than he's been on the road. Maybe the sample size is just too small. White Sox are hitting 254, 696 OPS versus lefties since July 1st. Guardians 273, 752 versus righties. They're hitting them pretty hard. Guardians bullpen, what happened? I mean, what happened? And that's the reason why I have no faith. This was an excellent bullpen, an elite bullpen for the first half of the season, and then now it's one of the worst. 5.27 ERA since July 1st. White Sox bullpen without Liam Hendricks has been better at 4.76. Joe Yerkman says price is too high for the Guardians. Danzo says if you've seen one White Sox game, you've seen them all. Score 2 to 3 runs in the first one, in the second maybe. Then they get ADHD and forget how to play baseball and don't score the rest of the game. Lazy, he says. DT says Cleveland coming off getting swept and ruining my 5K off a $300 parlay is the last leg versus Houston. They're on a fade list. They're emotional about Bell leaving their veteran leader. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Great comments here from the chat. Let's hear what you have to say about this spot. 2 pitchers that just faced each other 5 days ago, White Sox, Guardians.
Yeah, for me, there's a pass. I mean, I'm not laying $170 with Cleveland. I don't want Chicago. We're clearly, not going anywhere and haven't played well this year. And I don't fully trust them to play spoiler either, but Cleveland is just not at this price in my end. And I like Logan Allen. I did consider over strikeouts for Logan Allen, but 5.5 is not what I'm looking for. I was hoping for 4.5, but not exactly interested in that. You're right about the Cleveland bullpen. So disappointing, but pretty easy pass. Maybe a lean to the under, but nothing more than that. Pass for me.
Kong's Clips. Our guy Kong's Clips has the Kong smash play today. Braves team total over 4.5 and rally over 1.5 bases. There's our guy Jimmy Gomez in the house. Jimmy, we've missed you, and it's always great to see you in the chat, my guy, and also great to hang out with you in person. Pete still starts every show by pulling out his Joe Burrow card that you gifted him at Pubapalooza too, my man, and we love you, dude. All right, I'm off as well. Not comfortable with the spot at all. Now let's talk about a big baseball game here. 7:10 p.m. Eastern. Toronto Blue Jays 60-50, 30-26 on the road at the Boston Red Sox 57-51, 30-23 at home. We're at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. After the difficulties the star of Say Hey Plays of the Day has had over the last 48 hours with the country of Korea, he's proudly wearing a Japanese jersey today. Please welcome our friend Jose Bouquet to the show. Jose, how are you?
I'm doing well. Shout out to my baby boy, Shohei Ohtani. Shout out to the Japanese. They got me through BC Cash. I love that. And this is the most important series here for both of these squads. So I'm excited.
Good old Jose turning Japanese. He thinks he's turning Japanese. He really thinks so. Yeah, he does.
That was better than Jose saying baby boy.
Yeah.
We got to do something to ban. I think we have to ban the term baby boy. We have to ban it. Ban it. We have not banned a term or a word here before on the show, and then we're banning it.
And not even in the chat? Immediate blocks in the chat?
That's why you have Say Hey Plays of the Day. then you can call everybody, especially on Tuesdays with Bobano. You can call every player a baby boy on Tuesdays with Bobano, but no longer here. You're not. We're cutting it. We're cutting it here. DJ says nothing says you are sensitive to Korean culture like wearing a Japan shirt. Insensitive prick. So you just can't do anything right these days. Okay.
I know. I'm a big MPP guy too. I don't even like the KBO as much as I do the MPP, so it sucks.
The K-pop whisperer is his new nickname. Real Deal Prime says the Jays are 0-7 versus Boston. The Jays are simply not winning AL East games.
Isn't it a beautiful thing? This was the Red Sox last year.
It's wild. Vale Gotti in the house says Manoah getting rocked tonight. Cal says Red Sox money line. Bichette is out. Bichette's on the IL, so Bichette is out.
Yeah, he's lucky that he didn't rip his ACL or whatever.
Oh, we are so lucky, man. Oh my god, so lucky.
That might have been the height of my just absolute disgust yesterday with runners in scoring position with this baseball team. I mean, it's just ridiculous at this point.
Do you know what our friend Slatty has to deal with?
Yeah.
Our friend Slatty has to deal with his beautiful wife carrying a picture of Bo Bichette on her person.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a Polaroid or what?
No, like a picture of him, like with his like this, with his hair like down, like oh my god. She pulled it out a couple times last night, and then we forbade her.
And it's not a picture on the phone. It's a physical picture.
It's a physical picture.
I love that. I love that.
Okay, Alek Manoah going up against James Paxton. Manoah versus Paxton. Let's pull up the weather. We talked about how it's very offensive weather here, very offensive weather at Fenway. Ballpark Pal has it for minus 10% homers, but plus 20% doubles and triples. Probably we're going to see where the wind's blowing, but I imagine it's blowing out to the Green Monster, and plus 9% runs. Plus 9% runs. Vale Gotti, thank you for rolling with us. It is great to see you. So wind-wise here in Boston, 13.1 miles per hour out to left center. I mean, you always see that when it's got the doubles and triples up at plus 20%. It stays between 8.3. It dies down to 8.3 by the end of the game, but 13.1 miles per hour. Let's go to the line history here for this big AL East matchup. We've come a long way, Jose, from when I said if the Jays sweep the Red Sox will be sellers. Good God.
Well, the Red Sox just stuck their thumb up their ass during the deadline, so.
But I don't. What are they supposed to do? Go all in here? I think everything. I like everything that they've done this year.
At least if we're gonna not do anything, I'd rather sell James Paxton. By the way, Nasty Nate's saying it's gonna rain in this game, so just watch out for that as well.
Oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna pull up that weather here. Big move to the Boston Red Sox. I came close to betting them. Opening up at minus 141, now minus 160. 19 cents of movement. 19 cents of movement. Wow. Big move to the Boston Red Sox. Let's take a look at the total here in this one. The total, and thank you for sharing that with us, Nate. This total opened up at 10, and it's moved to 10.5. It moved to 10.5 at 8:40 this morning. So we have a move to the over here, and Nate saying it's going to rain. Slatty says Alek Manoah over 2.5 walks to plus 135. First game back after beating incident. Says, have a great weekend, boys, and that Tammy will defend Bo till death. God help me.
Jesus. I was told like a couple of months ago that Bo Bichette is a future Atlanta Brave, and for Tammy's sake, I really hope not.
18% of the tickets are on the Blue Jays and 24% of the cash. So 82% of the tickets on the Red Sox. The market moving 19 cents in their direction. Now 46% of the tickets, 63% cash on the under. But that's moved up a half run. And Vitalis said, breaking news, Oregon and Washington to leave the Pac-12 and join the Big Ten. Wow. And BJ comes in.
It's going to be the Pac-0 very soon, so don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah, the AAC, baby, the fourth conference now. Let's go.
BJ has locked in best bet. Boston Red Sox money line 5 units. Ooh, 5 units for BJ. That guy does not mess around.
And you don't doesn't matter. The juice doesn't matter when you have 5 units on one game.
And those are big boy units. That's a $500 unit. So he's putting $2,500 on that. So yeah, I get it. I would have no problem at minus 160 either if I'm dropping $2,500 on a bet. I completely get it. Ramon Scott now making his home in Vegas. Great capper says Jays minus 22 units for left-handed starters the last 2 seasons. Joe Yurkovich says he likes Boston first 5 minus a half, but no bet yet. So let's discuss it. Manoah 2-8, 5.87 ERA, 1.79 WHIP. His last start 6-1 win at home versus the Angels. He went 4 1/3. He allowed 1 earned run, 6 Ks, and 3 walks. On the road, he's 2-3 with a 3.92 ERAs. The House of Horrors has been the Rogers Center. He hasn't been that bad on the road. Going up against Big Maple, the Canadian James Paxton, 6-2, 3.34 ERA, 1.07 WHIP. Last start, 5 innings, 8 hits, 1 earned run, 5 Ks, 2 walks, and a 3-2 loss at the Giants. At home, he's been excellent. Just 28 innings, but 2.25 ERA, 35 strikeouts to 5 walks, 3 home runs, 200 opponents batting average. He's been so good there. But the Jays are hitting lefties. How could they be such a horrible record against lefties over the last 2 years? 289, 813 OPS in July 1st. Red Sox hitting righties, 275, 808. Red Sox bullpen being very good, and the Jays bullpen's been pretty good. 3.35 ERA for the Red Sox, 3.69 for the Jays. I can't wait to hear this breakdown. We will start with you, Jose Bouquet, your Red Sox at home against my Jays. Take it away.
Yep, playoff games in August. Both these teams know these games are massive. Let's just review the situation again. I'll pull up the wild card game because as I really would like the Texas Rangers to fall off and join this wild card race. As of right now, it is the Boston Red Sox versus the Toronto Blue Jays for that last spot. 2.5 games out in a 3-game series. And is it a 3-game series? I'm not sure. I think so. I'm going to assume so. And obviously, the Jays have not beaten the Red Sox this year. 0-7, I think it is now. It's been pretty tough. I think Fenway Park is going to be rocking. Alek Manoah is my 3rd least favorite non-Yankee in baseball. It's the Philly shortstop, Evan Longoria, and Alek Manoah. I can't stand this fat fuck. I know. The body shaming some males too today. He just talks all that shit, and he's a fucking loser. Talk shit to Dahl back in the day. Talk shit to the franchise, Franchi Cordero. He's a loser. The Red Sox get to him. The only issue here is that, as you mentioned, the Blue Jays are crushing lefties. 139 weighted runs created plus over the last half a month. It was from August or July 15th, 16th to now. Second, 139 weighted runs created plus and 197 plate appearances. But I really hope Big Maple comes out here with some fire in his ass against his, I don't know. Did he pitch for the Blue Jays? I don't think so. No, he's Canadian. But I expect him to pitch well. Alex Cora kind of had his head up his ass in his last appearance out there with his bullpen decision. So hopefully that gets fixed. Rested bullpen. Red Sox win, and they sweep this series.
Wow. Well, that's the Boston side of things. Let's hear from you, Bobano. Our Jays at the Red Sox.
Yeah, I ain't taking Toronto at all. I have no interest. I'm sick of what I saw against Baltimore. Sick of bases loaded, 1 out, get dick all. First and second, 1 out, getting dick all. Second and third with 1 out, getting screw all offensively in any of those spots against Baltimore. And you talked about the numbers and they're mashing lefties. Yeah, they mash lefties with bases empty. They mash lefties with maybe a runner on first, and they'll get them over to third. But then when you get to runners in scoring position, they just forget how to hit lefties or anybody for that matter. No, this is not a clutch hitting team. They stink in the division. I mean, how many times do we have to bet against or bet on the Blue Jays in the AL East and lose before we learn our lesson? I think they're a combined 1-13 or something against the Red Sox and Orioles this year. The Blue Jays. I mean, it's ugly. And Alek Manoah, who, in this ballpark, I'm not ready to trust him here to pitch well in this outing against the Red Sox. The only look I like here in this game is James Paxton over strikeouts. I do think that's a good look. It's 6.5. It's a plus price. Over 6.5 plus 128 at Bet99 with that prop. Paxton's going to want to pitch well here. His strikeout numbers haven't been, astronomical of late. Like he's had 5, 7, 4, and 3, and 7 in his last 5 starts. So he's only hit 7+ strikeouts 2 of his last 5 starts. But back-to-back starts against the Blue Jays for James Paxton, including the start earlier this year in Toronto, June 30th. 3-hit shutout ball in 7.2 brilliant innings for James Paxton against the Blue Jays with 7 strikeouts in that game back on June 30th. So, again, the Blue Jays, you can easily get them to swing and miss these days. That's what they do. That's what Matt Chapman does. That's what Kevin Kiermaier does. It's what George Springer's doing right now. It's what Vlad does. The whole lot of them. I mean, there's never a pitch they didn't think, hey, we can swing for the fences and hit a homer with it. You know, and that's what they're getting into trouble with right now. So that's the only look for me here. I think Boston honestly is going to win, but I'm not laying $1.63 in this kind of price range at all. It's just no value in my opinion. But there's actually probably value on Toronto if you can trust this lineup, but I don't. Just Paxton over 6.5 Ks for me.
Yeah, I get it. The more I'm sitting with this game, the more I think I'm leaving money on the table, not betting the Boston Red Sox here. And, I can take the -1 with the home team, cut down the...
Davis Schneider is going to be the savior here for the Toronto Blue Jays, called up from the Buffalo Bisons here, one of their hottest hitters down in AAA, meeting the team in Boston, maybe in the lineup tonight for the Blue Jays. It tells you all you need to know.
I saw that
they're looking in the AAA farm system to try to kickstart and spark this lineup and get them some clutch hits and scoring position.
Yeah, it reeked of desperation. And by the way, I've said this a couple times on this program. Watch out. 10 days, this Red Sox team's going to have Chris Sale back, Tanner Houck back, Garrett Whitlock back, and someone that I have not seen in quite a long time playing shortstop, Trevor Story, back within the next 10 days. So this Red
Sox, with you on the latter part, but Chris Sale, I can't trust that guy.
Well, Bobana, you don't trust him. I believe in my guy, Christopher Allen Sale, who's going to be piggybacked by Tanner Houck this year. I'm very certain of that. So it's going to be a very, very, very...
That next biking accident or that next hangnail, though, he'll...
Yeah, we told him no more bikes. No more bikes for Chris Sale. I still don't believe that story, but no more bikes for Chris Sale.
DT says Springer has 3 homers versus Paxton. I mean, he's a mess right now, and that bloop single did not fix things. And why are the Jays having so much fun? Like, it just drives me fucking crazy. Fun and laughing and all this stuff. Do you see the Orioles giggling out there? No, they're beating.
They were down 6-1, and I saw people laughing in the fucking dugout in the 9th inning. It's like, come on. They have high-end talent. We know that. But they don't have the intensity, and it's really being rough watching 2 years. So Bobano, going into yesterday, going into the game, they had the exact same record that they had last year, exact same record at this point in the season. I was like, God damn, this is just awful. Now, they're 10 games above 500. You'd think there wouldn't be this collective angst with the fan base, but this is probably as unimpressive a 10 games above 500 baseball team as you could look at.
Oh, no doubt. When you looked at with the Brewers and the Reds almost have the same record as the Jays, and you're like, oh, this is bad. All right. I think that I'm leaving money on the table, not backing Boston. I do. I think that, it was a great point that TJ made in the chat that look at can the Jays hit this way against lefties without Bo Bichette in the lineup?
I like that.
Yeah, if I'm a Jays fan, that's what I'm saying. All right, guys, enough with the fucking laughs and smiles and chuckles in the dugout. Or at least tone it down when you're down 6-1 in a fucking game and you're doing that shit, which is totally absurd. Let's maybe put the fucking Smucker's jam and fucking Mary Brown chicken ads on the shelf for a little bit with Manoah and Springer and Vlad and all these guys. Put those fucking little, ads that are funny the first time and they get on your nerves the 100th time. Put those on the shelf right now. Focus on baseball. Get me a clutch hit.
I can just imagine Mattingly watching these guys giggle. I can just imagine him just like
drive him nuts. Old school guy like that.
Oh my God. Like it's all right. All right. You know what? You can look at this from different perspectives and I know a lot of you guys in the chat have, advanced models where you're saying that the Red Sox shouldn't be this big of a favorite here. but I think that I'm just leaving money on the table, not backing the Boston Red Sox, and I'm going to be doing that. My decision then will have to be: do I want them a double up spot, first 5 and full game? That's what I'll be deciding. I'm moving on the Boston Red Sox. That's all. Fading the Jays has been very lucrative of late. All right, and if they get to the playoffs, because it's an if now, if they get to the playoffs, I still think that it's possible that they heat up and go on a run, and Bichette comes back and they start playing serious. They have that high end talent.
They have the pitching.
There's a high variance. They could get knocked out in the wild card if they get in, and they can make a run to late October. Yep.
Yeah, they have the starting pitching, I should say. The bullpen is still tragic. I'm on Red Sox -1, and I added TJ's Boston to win the series as well at -135. Red Sox really need this series, and this starts hopefully the championship DVD. Get the championship DVD going after this series, but it's gigantic.
You know what's nuts for Blue Jays fans? It's got to be driving you nuts. Two years ago, you couldn't stop hitting. You couldn't stop scoring runs. And here's the mediocre starting pitching and the bullpen blowing games for you left and right. And now this year, the starting pitching's been really good for the most part. You got maybe the deepest bullpen you've had in years now at your disposal. Now you can't score a damn run to save your life. It's polar opposite now. I mean, it's got to be frustrating, man. Holy shit.
All I want is, I just want intensity. I just want a team that did. I mean, I hate going back to this all the time, but did you guys see the Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Finals? That was the most intense group of athletes.
They would not relent until they put that series to bed.
It was a business. It was a fuck. They were so intense. There was no smile. There was no nothing. They had players taking gloves to the face and just staring back at them. There was not. They were just. You knew they were going to beat the Panthers, and that press conference going into Game 5 was the most serious press conference I've ever seen in my entire life. And they're one game away from Stanley Cup, and it was the most intense press conference I've ever seen. Those are teams that win.
That's professionalism.
Gigglers. Yeah. All right. I get money. Says any concern Boston off a road trip? Jose.
No, they had the day off yesterday.
And Sky Dragon says Donnie Baseball will whip this team into shape. Atkins has no balls.
I really think you guys are going to be disappointed by Donnie Baseball. I do not think he's a good manager.
Well, let's just have Schneider throwing batting practice like old times and shutting up and not making decisions. You know what? I just need some intensity, but we've talked about it enough.
Was he a pitching coach?
Sorry?
Was he the pitching coach?
No, he's just always through them batting practice. That's always like his, even double A, triple A, he still does. Like he was the pitcher for Guerrero in the home run contest. Like he just. All right. Let's move on. There's Deacon Mike. Your Cubs are running hot, Deacon. Okay, Jose, do you have any other plays of the day spots? If you do, please jump on with us.
I don't think I do. There's a kind of a shitty card today, but I'll mention you were kind of hesitant on the Astros. I actually think I'm going to back the Yankees and Severino somehow. It's just disgusting. He said himself he's been one of the worst pitchers in baseball, and I really think, I mean, if you go out there and say that and you come out and have another shit start, it's like DFA your ass. This is like his start to save his career right now, to get his career back on track. And I think he can pitch well against the Astros. I might bet a first 5. I might bet a first 5 under for the Yankees here.
That's gutsy.
But yeah, it's disgusting. It's one of those spots where I don't want to bet it at all. Like I've bet the Yankees the last 2 days and it's been fucking gross, but I will try to back Severino at some form or fashion there, but we'll fuck it through.
Just before we go, the total here, and I know we got a ton of work to do. We got to focus. It's gone up from 10 to 10.5, and it seems like there is I don't know. It's strange. 46% ticket, 63% cash on the under, and they're saying you want to keep betting unders. We'll give you even a better number. What do you have a feel on this total, Jose?
I leaned over as well. Yeah, I saw a 10 at -130 at Bet Online that I considered betting, but I was fine. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to bet the Red Sox -1 here. I bet the -1 because A, it was cheaper, and B, as our guy P would say, higher variance with the fucking higher total, et cetera, et cetera. So
I like it. BJ's best bet, Boston Red Sox, 5 units. Bobano on Paxton over 6.5 Ks. Oh, shit, Bobano, I don't have the juice for that. What was it?
Plus 128. So nice
wow.
plus price there. Yep.
Plus 128. Jose's on the Red Sox -1 and the Red Sox to win the series. TJ also on the Red Sox to win the series. And I am moving on the Boston Red Sox. I just got to decide whether I'm going to double up, but I will be moving on the Boston Red Sox. Thank you, Jose, my friend. Bobano, we move on. 8:05 p.m. Eastern, Miami Marlins 58-52, 24-28 on the road at the Texas Rangers, 63-46, 37-20 at home at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. First off, the thing that jumped out on me at this game is when you think of these two offenses, you think the Rangers are the scary squad. But look at these numbers against lefties. Since July 1st, Marlins hitting .343 with an .841 OPS, and the Rangers just .247-13. That was the first thing where I was like, wow. That really kind of caught me. The question is, can you trust Jesus Luzardo? And my answer is no. I can't, and I can't on the road, and that's a problem. Maybe I should try to get over it. I'd like to try to get over it. Let's talk about this situation here. We know the roof will be closed, so we can get right into the line history. We'll start with the money line here. This money line opened up at -137 for the Rangers. It's now -131. So we've had 5 or 6 cents, depending on what side of movement towards the Marlins. Then we go over to the total in this one. So we have a slight move towards the Miami Marlins. From a total perspective, this opens up at 8.5. There's been 11 cents of movement towards the under. 11 cents of movement towards the under, and it opens up at 8.5. Cheshire Cat says Rangers at home. DC Cappers on the over 8.5. Joe Yurkovich says this line's a bit short for the Rangers. DT says, why is the public on my... Oh, yeah, that's says... on so much on the spread money line. Let's dive deeper into it. But that's, DT, what just really caught me by surprise was those numbers. I mean, I knew that the Marlins were hitting. I just didn't realize the Rangers weren't. So let's go to the cash flow here for this one. We have 35% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on the Marlins. Wow. 60% of the tickets, 62% of the cash on the under. Rocco Rogers, Marlins first 5 plus a half at -125. Marlins first 5 money line plus 125. Marlins full game at plus 136. Joe Yurkovich says Seager is back. Alfred 44 says, I thought the Rangers would be much higher favorites as well. Kind of scares me off. Let's talk about these pitchers here. So Luzardo, I've already briefly touched on him. His last start was at home versus the Tigers. Should have been a cushy spot for him. And 4 2/3, 4 earned runs, 3 Ks, 3 walks. Doesn't look good. He's not been good on the road all year. 4.63 ERA, 280 opponents batting average. But he does have 50 strikeouts in those 46 2/3 with just 12 walks. Jordan Montgomery on the other side, making his first start for the Rangers. We've seen these highly thought of pitchers pitch well on their first start for these new teams. This is his first start with the Rangers. His last start was at home versus the Cubs, who've been raking. And he shut them down. 3 earned runs over 6 innings. It was a 3-2 loss. Both bullpens have been bad, especially the Rangers bullpen, 6.03 ERA. Rocco Rogers says Jesus to deal. Morgan Spooner says first 5 over 4.5. What does Bobano say? Globe Life Field, Arlington, Texas, Marlins, Rangers.
I almost took Luzardo over strikeouts, but I just don't know if he's going to last. If he's going to pitch deep into this game, he's had issues consistently on the road, which bothers me a little bit here with that as well. You look at the numbers here: 4.63 ERA for Luzardo away from Miami, so that's not very good. When you look at the Texas side, I don't really want to fade them in this spot. Montgomery in his first start, you're right. We saw Flaherty for Baltimore. We saw Scherzer for Texas. We've seen a lot of he had a rough start, but he settled in after that. These pitchers they really want to have a good first showing for their new team. We've seen that across the board. Montgomery's capable. Miami season long, you're right, against lefties been very good, but I don't like their form right now. Miami. I know they had that one win against Philly, but that was not a good series. And this is a continuation of them falling off the pack a little bit, and they might be out of a wild card spot very soon, Miami. They're trending in a bad way. I don't want to take them here in this spot, or Luzardo, who's struggled on the road. I lean Texas, but I don't love the price enough to bet it, so I'm off the game. Can't hear Jimmy. Muted.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I'm going to have to be off the game as well. I understand with the splits against lefties, seeing that the Marlins have value. I get it.
Kind of lean over, but man, Texas has been an under machine lately. Look at these Texas games. Under lately.
Yeah, I really looked at this game a lot last night and this morning, and but I'm off of it. I don't feel like I have an edge that I can actually bet here. So let's move on. 8:10 p.m. Eastern. Next up for us, Arizona Diamondbacks 57-53, 29-25 on the road at the Minnesota Twins, 56-54, 30-24 at home. We're at Target Field, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Merle Kelly going up against Bailey Ober. Let's go to the weather here first and foremost here for the Twinkies. 86 Fahrenheit, 6.5 miles per hour in. Stays between 6.5 and 7.2 miles per hour in. Let's go to Ballpark Pal and see what their expectations are of Target Field. They have Target Field minus 14% home runs, plus 2% doubles and triples, minus 4% overall. Merrill Kelly, Bailey Ober coming off getting destroyed at Kansas City is tricky. We got to expect them to bounce back, right? Don't we see Bailey Ober as I almost am saying elite. But a really good pitcher. Let's just say that. He's
solid.
Isn't he a really good pitcher? Let's take a look at the line history here because I find this one absolutely wild. This total, we'll start here, opened up at 8.5. It got to 8 at 11:03 p.m., back to 8.5, 22 minutes later, dropped to 8 at 2:23 a.m., then back up to 8.5 at 8:30 a.m. Right now, we have 8 cents of movement towards the under, but it's back at the 8.5. We go over to the money line here for this one. We have the Twins opening up at minus 125, and that's where they stand right now, minus 126. And we're talking the tiniest of moves. This has gone in all. So this came out at 6:36 p.m. yesterday, and the lowest it's gotten was minus 123, the highest of minus 128. So very, very small variance here. So let's take a look at the cash flow, and I imagine there won't be anything extreme, but I'm wrong. 73% of the tickets and 90% of the cash on the under. It's not really moving. 57% of tickets and 96% of the cash on the Twins, and it's not moving. Merrill Kelly, last start, 4-0 loss at home versus the Mariners, 5 innings, 3 earned runs. He didn't look very good, but he's been good this year. 3.23 ERA, 1.16 whip, and he's been fine on the road. His splits are totally normal. 192 opponents batting average on the road, 3.60 ERA. Bailey Ober has been excellent at home, 2.98 ERA, 227 opponents batting average. I'd like to bet on him to bounce back here. I guess I would like to do that. Diamondbacks are not hitting righties, 234, 697 OPS since July 1st, while the Twins are at 258, 809. And the Diamondbacks bullpen has been bad, as has the Twins bullpen. DT says Diamondbacks are ass. They got shut out yesterday. Now have to fly to Minnesota today. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Very interesting spot. D-backs, Twinkies.
Lean Twins, lean under. I mean, it's a bad spot, all right, for Arizona. Shut out 1-0. San Francisco, they got to travel halfway across the country to Minnesota without a day off. Not a good spot for Arizona. Ober's been good at home. Sub-3 ERA at home for Bailey Ober this year. Bounce back spot probably for him. Look, every pitcher's got a bad day, rough outing, and I think he had that last time. He's been very good at home. The numbers are good, right in line with solid peripherals, with the xFIP as well at home. And Arizona's just not hitting right now. And they've been an under machine to coincide with that lack of pop at the plate. Arizona coming into this game, 7 straight games have gone under the total for the Arizona Diamondbacks coming into tonight's game. So I have not made anything official, but definitely solid, if not strong, leans to both the Twins and also under 8.5 here.
And so then what is keeping you off of betting it? Bobano?
Minnesota, I'm closer to betting Minnesota here, but I also like Merrill Kelly. Okay, I like him a lot. I've always, mentioned Merrill Kelly, and his road numbers are good this year. I think it's a 2.84 ERA for him right now on the road this season. That's pretty good. And Minnesota, to be quite honest with you, sometimes we see their lineup just not pop at the plate, and Merrill Kelly's got the kind of arsenal that I think could trouble them a little bit. So that's why I'm holding off Minnesota. I think spot-wise, it's definitely advantage Minnesota. And Arizona's not hitting at all. So maybe low-scoring game, Minnesota pulls it out. But the price, not great. And you know what I feel with unders. When the moment I bet an under, it does not stay under. So that's been my long-term problem with unders across the board. But I certainly would look at the Twins in the under if I were to get involved.
Is there any concern here with Bailey Ober's 3 throwing 98 innings now, and he does not. I mean, does he have 100? I don't know if he's thrown 100 innings. He certainly hasn't in the last few years. And in 2022, if you put everything together from each league, he didn't hit it. Do you think there's any? Do you think we could possibly be dealing with some arm fatigue?
Yeah, dead arm syndrome. Yeah, arm fatigue. It's possible. It's possible because if you actually look in the past year for Bailey Ober, you're right. 98.2 innings this year, 56 last year with the Minnesota Twins. He did get 92.1 innings, in 2021. So he's only passed his previous career high in innings by about 6 innings at this point. But if it's an arm fatigue issue, it's only going to get worse from here because he's now 6 innings surpassed his previous career high. He's going to get well over 100. So that's another thing that would maybe have you temper the enthusiasm here for Minnesota tonight in this spot. And moving forward, let's maybe see how he does tonight. And if he gets roughed up tonight, that was Kansas City. Let's be real. That was Kansas City that roughed him up in that last start. That's not exactly the Baltimore Orioles lineup. That was Kansas City doing that. Now he's got an Arizona team that can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag. If he has a rough outing tonight, then I think it lends a lot more credence to the fact that perhaps, he's wearing down just because he's thrown more innings than he ever has before in a single season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. He actually, in that 2021, he did throw 16 innings in AAA.
Yeah.
So that, then all of a sudden we're at, 108. But in 2022, it was, he threw some innings of Fort Myers, but still less. Yes, Craig Wood, thank you. The gift is Reds first 5 -1/2 and the Orioles to win the series. I wonder, because TJ's on the first 5 under. I just, the fact that it moved back to 8.5, I'm gonna stay off of it. I'm gonna stay off of the spot, but I can understand it. I can really understand. Let's move on. 8:10 p.m. Eastern. Pittsburgh Pirates 48-60, 22-32 on the road at the Milwaukee Brewers 59-51, 30-24 at home. We're at American Family Field, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The roof will probably be closed. Oh no, it won't. It's nice there. 72 Fahrenheit, 7.8 miles per hour. I think the roof will be open. It doesn't make a big difference there the way the park is built when the roof is open, but it makes a slight difference. Let's see what they expect of American Family Field. Plus 6% home runs, minus 6% doubles and triples, minus 3% overall. There is Stimmy OG in the house. A tough night for Stimmy. But I hope your action went well. Rand says sneaky over, and Joe Yurkovich has the Twins at minus 125. So Joe Yurkovich moving on the Twins. We have 22-year-old Quinn Priester on the bump going up against Colin Ray. So my first thought, now Quinn Priester's had 3 starts and they've all been bad. We know he's going to be a key piece of this squad down the road. Is Quinn Priester, ready to be a starter next year? At Indianapolis in AAA this year, he was quite good. 7-3, 4.31 ERA, 1.36 WHIP. He was quite good. He allowed just 6 home runs and 87 2/3 at the AAA level. But he's had 3 starts up here, and he's not looked good. He has not looked good. Colin Ray hasn't looked good either, but his last start was at the Braves. He's going to find this much easier. Mark Schillingberg, Pittsburgh native, says the Pirates are absolute shite. That's what he has to say about his Pirates. Priester going up against Ray. So with the vulnerability of these 2 starting pitchers, obviously my first thought was, the over has got to be in play here. So I was surprised to see this line. Some books opened it at 9.5. They opened it up at 9. And there's been 11 cent Pinnacle opened up at 9 at even money on the under. And there's been 11 cents of movement towards the under. That surprised me. I did not expect that. From a money line perspective here, we have the Brewers opening up at minus 160. They're now minus 166. I don't trust Ray, and I don't trust Priester. Look at the cash flow for look at the cash flow for this one. We have 14% of the tickets and 44% of the cash on Priester. So that's why 86% of the gamblers or the tickets are on the Brewers and the line's not moving there. That's why. Then we have 61% of tickets and 71% of the cash on the under. And that surprises me. Dante Mack says, Bobano tips are fire. Let's fucking go.
Oh, appreciate that.
Thank you, Dante, so much for supporting the channel. That means a ton to us. Thank you, Dante Mack in the house. So, Priester, last start, 5 earned runs in 5 innings, 7-6 win at home versus the Phillies. He's got a 9.19 ERA, just 15 2/3 of work, 13 strikeouts, 11 walks, and 4 jacks. Colin Ray's not been very good this year. He's not been horrible, 4.76 ERA, 1.20 whip, has allowed 17 homers and 96 in the third. At home, he's 2-2 with a 5.01 ERA, 263 opponents batting average, allowed 10 jacks over 46 2/3. The Pirates aren't hitting righties, the Brewers aren't hitting righties, and both bullpens have been good. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Pirates, Brew Crew at American Family Field.
Yeah, over 8.5 minus 125. Cashed a ticket with the over last night. I'm back with it here. Over 8.5 minus 125. Proline Plus has that. I don't trust either pitcher. It's very simple. Quinn Priester's been roughed up in every start. Walks, control, and command has been wretched for him in these 3 starts, and that's bad news probably against Milwaukee, who just came off scoring 14 runs last night in that game. I don't know if they'll score 14 tonight, but I do think they'll do some damage. And look, I think the Pirates lineup could actually score some runs. I'm not overly impressed with what Colin Ray's done here this season for the Milwaukee Brewers. He gave up 5 runs in his last start against Atlanta. When you look at his numbers, particularly on the road, the Atlanta start was a rough one. Philly wasn't great. He had a rough start against Cincy. Hasn't been great. And now it's going to be a second time, by the way, for the Pirates to face Colin Ray. He did pitch well against them in the first start, July 2nd, but it could be a little bit different here going into this matchup here tonight. And if you actually look at these two teams as far as, offense, it's been a little bit better. And if you actually look at the Milwaukee bullpen, hasn't been as sharp lately. 4.94 bullpen ERA the last 10 games for the Milwaukee Brewers. So I think you can get some runs late too if it doesn't go over early in the game. So over 8.5 minus 125.
You got it. You are locked in. That was my first feel on the game, but I'm not going to be able to pull the trigger. I will cheer for you. Let's go on. We have 3 games left on today's show. Next up for us, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, Colorado Rockies 42-66. 17-36 on the road at the St. Louis Cardinals, 48-62, 24-31 at home. There's our guy Leonard Porsche Jr. in the house. Busch Stadium, St. Louis, Missouri. Let's take a look at the weather in St. Louis. 83 Fahrenheit, feels like 90, 4.5 miles per hour right to left. So not much wind, 4.2 to 4.5, very minimal. And it's not too hot. Ballpark Pal and Busch Stadium, minus 15% home runs, minus 1% doubles and triples, and minus 6% runs. Let's go to the line history here for this one. Line history wise, we have Chris Flexen going up against Adam Wainwright. The Cardinals have taken a ton of action. 27 cents of action from the opening line last night at 6:03 p.m. Minus 163 to minus 190. Wow, that is a lot of action on a bunch of losers. From a total perspective, we have this opening up at 9.5 minus 111 to the over, and it's at over 9.5 minus 115 to the over. It did get to 10 for a short period there. It was funny that the Rockies picked up Chris Flexen because he seemed to need a pitcher's ballpark. Whenever he got around the pitcher's ballpark, if it was Oracle or T-Mobile, he seemed to pitch well. You got him in a tough situation, and he got lit up. And now he's going to have to, not tonight, but now he's going to be playing in the thin air. And his first start with Colorado was an 11-3 loss to the A's. 6 runs, 5 earned, over 3 2/3. He is not to be trusted. And then you have Adam Wainwright here, who got the cortisone injections, came back and had a good first start, and then coming off 5-1 loss at home versus the Cubs. Now, the Cubs are raking, so maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought. 6 innings, 4 earned runs. Ramon Scott says Waney, 12-1 with a 1.38 ERA versus Colorado in 14 starts, but this is far from that Waney. At home, he's got an 8.16 ERA and a 3.75 opponent's batting average. Wow. Rockies versus righties, 233, 691 OPS. Cards versus righties, 274, 804. And the Rockies bullpen's better than this Cards bullpen. Take it away for us, Bobano. Wainwright, Flexen, Rockies, Cardinals.
Side and total. I'm taking the big dog here. Plus 172 at Pinnacle with the Colorado Rockies. And look, I know Chris Flexen could every bit be the gas can and potential problem that Adam Wainwright could be in this game, but there is just no way I'm passing up fading St. Louis at this price. St. Louis is one of those teams I'm looking to bet against at reasonable opportunities moving forward. They traded away almost, not everybody. They've still got Arenado, Goldschmidt in their lineup, but they traded away Flaherty. They traded away several bullpen pieces. And they're definitely a team that's not going to be playoff bound. And certainly them as a team right now and Wainwright as a pitcher right now is not someone that I can endorse in this price range. And I'm more than happy to fade them and let the chips fall where they may. And even if Flexen gets lit up, which he could, because he's been awful, I'm not going to deny that. But at the same point in time, the Rockies bullpen has been a lot better than the Cardinals bullpen lately. So, if Colorado's behind early in the game or tied, I think Colorado could probably get the lead late. So I like Colorado. I like taking a shot with them at this price. Again, plus 172 full game Colorado at Pinnacle. And I'm also on over 9.5 here, minus 115 at Bet365. And I know the totals moved down. Well, it was 9.5. It went to 10, back to 9.5 now. So there's been a little push and pull with the total, but now that it's down to 9.5 widely across the board, I don't think it's asking a lot with these two starters on the mound, potentially flammable tonight in this game to get to 10 runs. So Rockies plus 172, over 9.5, minus 115.
Yeah, 72% of the tickets, 86% cash on the over. I'm surprised that didn't stay at 10. 33% of the tickets, 83% cash on the Rockies. So this is wild. It's just wild. A very, very interesting game. And I don't. Our guy JP says someone going to be posted up at Imperial Beach this weekend, rocking his PSR gear. And he says that's me. I am somebody. Respect JP. I get this. I completely get this. I get it. I just don't know why it's not a higher total. That's all. It's just, but I completely get your breakdown here. We have a question from I Get Money. He says, am I dumb to put the Argonauts money line and a shit ton of parlays today to get better juice? What do you think?
Well, I got him parlayed with Winnipeg from last night's game. So I'm just looking for them to win the game, and which I think, look, Calgary's been bad at home, like Saskatchewan and Edmonton in that West Division. I don't think it's asking a lot for, and people are saying, and I find this funny, people have said they're worried about the spot for Toronto just because, they were in Halifax, Nova Scotia, out in the East Coast. They have to come back to Toronto and then fly out west for a Friday game after playing on Saturday. It's actually just as bad for Calgary. Calgary played Sunday night in Montreal, and they got to fly back home to Calgary and play Friday. It's actually a shorter period of time between games for Calgary compared to Toronto. So it's maybe not the greatest spot for the Argos, but I'd argue it's worse for Calgary in terms of the schedule.
Yeah, I hear. I don't know. Don't put them in all of your parlays, but look, they're dominating right now. They're dominating. The market's moving their direction.
Now, cover 9.5. I'm not as sure about that. That's a big number, but win the game, absolutely. I think they will.
Nut Flush Allen says parlays obviously are the devil, but my golden rule is never load a bunch of tickets with the same team in them. Okay, let's move. But you can do it for sure with a few of your tickets, but just I don't put them all, just just in case. 9:38 p.m. Eastern is next up for us. 2 games left on the card. Seattle Mariners 57-52, 26-26 on the road at the Los Angeles Angels 56-54, 29-24 at Homeward Angel Stadium in Anaheim, California. Perfect timing for Wine Time Sports to get into the chat. This guy knows this team very, very well. It's his team. By the way, TJ says Colorado plus 1.5. He will add. Watching for the best price, though, before he takes a position. I like that. I like that. I get it. Correlates with Bobano's breakdown as well. Wine Time Sports says, I'm back on the Angels money line today. Got absolutely burned last night in the 9th. I was at the game. It was such a great atmosphere, but once we blew that lead, we all felt the sense that we might be done, meaning this is a must win from our Wine Time Sports. So I was the opposite. I thought after watching Castillo's last performance at Arizona, I was like, oh, okay, here he is finally. Here he is now. Is he going to be down the stretch? Because one thing about Castillo is he's always been able, he seems to turn it on down the stretch. And, you know, we get to playoff time and you don't want to face him in a short series situation. And I thought that was the sign. Maybe that was the sign. Let's take a look at this spot here. We'll start with the weather in Anaheim, 80 Fahrenheit, 9.9 miles out to right center, dies down to 7.9 miles per hour. You know, you would think that this would be an expectation for a lot of offense. Ballpark Pile doesn't have that. Plus 8% home runs, minus 8% doubles and triples, minus 1% runs. Then we'll take a look at the line history here. On the money line, we have the Angels opening up at plus 102. They're just plus 101 right now. That's interesting. And then total-wise, this opened up at 8, even money to the under last night at 6:24 p.m. at Pinnacle. And it's right at that exact position. So we have both the money line and the total with almost no movement whatsoever. 36% of the tickets and 65% of the cash are on the Angels. Then you have 51% of the tickets and 83% of cash on the under. That's telling me that the markets think that Reed Detmers is going to have a good start. And I already think that Castillo has a good start. There's our guy Swiss Horton in the house. It's nice to see you, man. We need you back. We need you back on our Monday Night Live bet streams, man. Castillo, 7-7, 2.88 ERA, 1.01 WHIP. He's been really strong on the road this year. He's 2-4, but that's because this offense didn't get into gear until Kalenic kicked the icebox and broke his foot, and that seemed to wake everybody up. 53 strikeouts, 15 walks, and 54 innings with a 219 opponent's batting average. Reed Detmer is coming off a 6-1 loss at Toronto, 4 2/3, 2 earned runs, 1 homer, 5 Ks, 2 walks. But at home, he's been really good. 2-3, 3.63 ERA, 85 strikeouts in just 62 innings, 230 opponent's batting average. The Mariners don't hit lefties with power. A 262 average, but just a 694 OPS. Angels versus righties, 239, 754. And this Mariners bullpen, 2.59 ERA. There at this point, if you're going to fade the Mariners, it's almost like it's first 5 is the best way to do it because their bullpen is becoming elite. And we were waiting for it. There was a time about 10 days ago when they had maybe 2.5 weeks ago where they had the 4th best pitching from their starters in the entire league. And they were 500, and it was their offense that's the problem. Now the offense has come together. Is it time that they make a push? I can't wait to hear your breakdown. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Mariners, Angels.
Yeah, I think it's too early to say they're making a push, but I think that they got a lot of work to do. But hey, the Jays are the team they got to catch because that's the 3rd wild card spot. They're letting a lot of teams hanging around. Even the Angels are still in it. So it's a big series too for the Angels because they're still very much in it. They decided, you know what, we're not trading Ohtani. We're going to try to actually buy a little bit and make a push with Ohtani for the playoffs and knowing Mike Trout's going to be back as well in a couple of weeks. So it's actually a big series, believe it or not, here. Mariners and Angels. And I agree with you as far as the pitching. I think both pitchers will dominate. I think both pitchers are capable of getting swings and misses. And I know I said earlier on the show that I'm going to be tightening the belt with strikeout props because personally for me, the last week to 10 days, the strikeout props have been definitely more hit or miss. They haven't been cashing. They haven't been as reliable or hitting as much as they were, say, a month ago. But in this game, I like both of these pitchers to hit their K prop. I'm on Castillo over 7.5. No, let me see. Actually, at the score bet has 6.5 minus 142 for Castillo. So juice, but I get a full strikeout less at that book. So over 6.5 minus 142 for Luis Castillo. And I like, obviously, as well, Reed Detmers over 6.5 strikeouts, minus 156. A little juicy, but minus 156 at Bet Rivers for that. Both pitchers over 6.5 strikeouts. Detmers has really impressed me. It's been a bit of a turnaround season for him. He's been very, very solid. And so is Castillo. 1.6 ERA for Castillo the last 5 starts. And again, he's had 11, 9, and 7 strikeouts in his last 3 starts. And Detmers has eclipsed 6.5 strikeouts in 3 of the last 5 starts. And if you look at the way he pitched against Seattle earlier this year, Detmers 7 strikeouts against the Mariners. So both of their pitcher over K props.
Yeah, I get it. I didn't realize that I had a chance at this 4.5. I thought that that it was always around 4. But I did have a chance at the 4.5 for the first 5. If I wanted to pay for the opportunity to get that 4.5, first half 4.5 minus 132. So it opened up at 6:24 p.m. minus 122. It stayed that way until 8:30 this morning. And I was looking quite closely at it. Rocco Ryder says Detmers over 6.5 Ks, maybe a ladder spot waiting for the lineups for sure. A Real Deal Prime says, Tani leaves early with the hand and finger cramping, but stays in as a bat and hits a home run. Yeah, he's just different. Guy is just different. And then I'd like just to see what the 2.5, first 3, 2.5 is here. Because, there's another way of doing this. The first 3 under 2.5 minus 135, which would mean the first 3 under 1.5 is, first 3 under 1.5 plus 185. So I could drop a first 3 under 2 for, quite a big plus money, and just need Seattle and LA, just need those 18 outs. That's a way of looking at it. That's a way of looking at it. I'm going to take a closer look at the first 3 under 2 in a really decent plus money spot. I should have moved on that first 5 under 4.5. I guess the total's not moving at 8. We just had Ohtani against Wu, and that total was at 8. So why would Castillo and Detmers not, have a different total? I mean, it should just be right where it is. So, but I wish I had moved on. Okay. So we have Bobano moving on Castillo over 6.5 Ks minus 142, Detmers over 6.5 Ks minus 156. And I'm thinking about that first 3 under 2 at a plus money price. Let's move on to the final game on the card. And finally, action for me, double up action. I'm on the Padres first 3 and first 5 in this matchup. And Bobby Miller's being really good on the road in a small sample size. And Bobby Miller is alpha. Look, I don't think he's going to go in there into Petco and be scared or anything like that. I just feel like Darvish has flipped the switch. And I want to bet him. And I want to get paid from him. And I wasn't on the game against Texas. And it ate at me because he was electric.
I'd still love to know what the fuck happened against Pittsburgh, though, because that was bizarre that he got lit up there.
It was so strange. But I also...
But other than that, he's been great.
But also that day, the market was so weird and moving to, the market always gives, I feel like, indicators when a big favorite is more vulnerable than one would expect. Here, the Padres have gone from minus 104 to minus 122. It's just been a constant move. I guess not a Well, I mean, there was a legit move. This line didn't open up till 9:33 p.m. last night. But, and so at 3:11 a.m., it was, there'd only be 1 cent of movement. But from that point on, it's been all Padres cash. And from the cash flow, we have 49% of the tickets, but 85% of the cash. So the big bets are coming in the Padres. The market is moving in that direction. And we're less than half of the tickets are on the Padres. And it's a pretty nice place to be. 45% of the tickets, 60% cash is on the under 8. Why don't we take a look at what's going on with this total? I got the first 5 up, so we can touch on that. This has had, this actually opened at 5. God, I didn't know that. It's opened up at 5. Within an hour and a half, it had moved 9 cents towards the under, and then it moved to 4.5 at 11:18. I think some of these Western games, just because for whatever reason I go in chronological order, I try to find the spots I want to attack first, but I seem to be late on them from the big moves, and that obviously will hurt your ROI. I mean, the key to baseball betting is you got to do the work the night before for the games the next day, and sometimes life gets in the way of that. For a full game total, this opened up at 8.5, and it only lasted there for an hour and almost an hour and 50 minutes before it got to 8. So we have a move to the under and a move to the Padres. We already talked about the cash on the Padres, and the bigger bets are slightly on the under. Reclaim James. I'm not sure if I'm going to go first 5 and full game, but I am going to bet Boston. So I'm going to move that. Joe Yerkman says Dodgers huge over team and Padres huge under team all season long. So let's take a look at the weather. I didn't do that yet. This is our final game on today's show. Excellent job today, Bobano, as always. Thank you for putting in all this time and effort for us. 73 Fahrenheit, 7.1 miles per hour left to right, slightly out, 7.1 to 5.8 miles per hour. And the expectation of offense is the worst, tied for the worst with Wrigley. Minus 2% home runs, minus 3% doubles and triples, minus 9% runs. And as I said, Bobby Miller, coming off a 6-5 loss at home versus the Pirates, he didn't pitch great. 3 earned runs over 5 innings, 6 Ks, no walks. But on the road, he's 4-0, 2.63 ERAs, allowed just 1 home run, 216 points batting average. But it's Darvish with his 3rd consecutive home start. He got lit up by the Pirates. He came back and was dominant against Texas. He hasn't been great at home this year. It feels like Castillo and Darvish and some of these aces, elite pitchers are starting to pitch their best now at this point in the season. Both teams are smashing righties. Dodgers 264, 833 since July 1st. Padres 254, 825. Dodgers bullpen is right now even better than the Mariners bullpen since July 1st, best in the league. And the Padres bullpen has struggled. Take it away for us. DC Capper on the over 8 in this one. Reclaim James says, my gut says Dodgers. I'm on first 3 and first 5. And just before I hand it over to Bobano, let's just see exactly what I got first 3 at minus 130, first 5 minus 125. And right now, if I wanted those were at bet 365, so I sent them in. If I wanted that right now, I get the first 3 at minus I'm looking at the wrong game. My bad. Sorry. Sorry. Here we go. If I moved on this now, the first 3 and first 5, the first 5 would be the same minus 125. And the first 3, the same, minus 130. So there's no difference. So take it away for us here, Bobano. Dodgers, Padres, last game on the card.
Yeah, it's obviously San Diego, a huge game for them because they're trying to get back into the playoff race. You mentioned, other than the Pittsburgh start, Darvish has pitched pretty well here the last month. And he's dominated the Dodgers, by the way. He's made 3 starts against them since the beginning of last season, and he's given up just 5 runs total, 4 earned runs over a span of 18.2 innings. So really, really good. 4 earned runs in 18.2 innings for Darvish against San Diego. I'm on San Diego too. I think the spot's good for them. LA feasted on a horrible Oakland team. Big deal. Now you're going to be playing a better, Padres team that's at least got a lot on the line. They're starting to play a little bit better to this San Diego team. If you look at their recent run at San Diego, they took 2 or 3 at Colorado. I know it's Colorado, but still, that's good. And they, of course, swept a very good Texas team last weekend at Petco Park. So I think here, San Diego minus 122 at Pinnacle. I'm going to be on that. I'm actually going to be on the over in this game, over 8 minus 115. I don't like either bullpen. That's why I like the over. It's not so much that I think Darvish is going to get hit or Miller is going to get hit. I just don't think either bullpen is trustworthy. They can give up runs late. I'm not a big fan of the Dodger bullpen. I was surprised to hear the stats that they've been good since July, but all season, there's not been a great Dodger pen. And I think it's 8. I think that it can get over that kind of number. So I'm on San Diego over 8 as well. And I'm also going to go with Darvish over strikeouts, over 5.5 here for Darvish, over 5.5 strikeouts, minus 125 in this game. Worth noting when it comes to Darvish, not against the Dodgers, not only the 3-0 record for the Padres in Darvish's starts against the Dodgers since the beginning of last year, but in those 3 games that Darvish pitched against the Dodgers, all 3 of them victories, 9, 7, and 6 strikeouts against the Dodgers. So that'll get you over 5.5. So 3 bets there: Padres over 8 and the Darvish K prop.
What was the over 8 juice?
Minus 115.
All right, you are locked in. So we have 5 bets on that game. I'm all different. I'm Padres first 3, first 5. And Bobano's Padres full game over 8 and Darvish over 5.5 Ks. Roughriders Dodgers bullpen fully available tonight. I'm getting close to moving on Dodgers at plus 108. I would imagine that if it goes towards my script, you will have a live betting opportunity on the Dodgers if it goes the way I hope that it will. Excellent work, Bobano. Let's review all action here on the card. Bobano's on the Argos team total over 30.5 and full game over 50.5 in tonight's Argos Stampeders spot. Tomorrow, I'm all over, heavily invested in this football game that Bobano will be at. I'm on the Alouettes first half money line at -120. The Alouettes full game -2.5 at -110. I'm on Montreal Hamilton first half under 22.5 and full game under 45. Curious to see what's happened with that spot as well here. If I wanted the first half money line is -125 and the full game is 2.5 -120, so 10 cents of movement. So it's still widely available. And we want to know to start the NFL season, preseason, first quarter under 6.5. We went 12-2 in the preseason last year. There's limits on the bets, but it don't affect my $200 bets. So we're in business. I love the preseason. And Bobano's on the over 43.5 in the Ottawa Redblacks Saskatchewan Roughriders game on Sunday, and the Redblacks money line. And I'm going to join them on the Redblacks money line. Then we have action from Clint McLean, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast. He's had some additions, and he's got PFL action. And so does Tone Miggins. So I'm going to just drop the PFL action from our cappers here one more time into the chat. Here we go. There's the first one in the chat. That's from Clint. And then Tone Miggins gave us Hamlet money line at +180. He's putting 2 units on that. That's the levels play of the day. I love when Tone's play of the days. I mean, this guy is just an absolute monster. So that's the first one. And then he's also on Bragg's money line for 1 unit. So that's the PFL action from our squad right there. Then we go into MLB. Kong's clip smash play of the day is the Atlanta Braves team total over 4.5 and rally over 1.5 bases. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play of the day is Atlanta -1 at -127. And Justin McElvey stacks play today's Cubs team total over 3.5. And TJ's, I didn't put the last one. TJ's look on the Braves -1 almost was a gift, but it was not. So then we move on to 6:40 p.m. Bobano gets his card started with the Tampa Bay Rays at -140. And Mike M has Wander Franco, RBI +185, Homer +825. The gift, number 1 from TJ, was the Reds first 5 -1/2, -112. Bobano's on the Reds first 5 -1/2 as well, and the over 10.5 at -108. I'm also on the Reds first 5 -1/2, but I got in early at -121, and there was a 25-cent move. I guess people heard I was on it and started fading it immediately. Sterling Gentry, Braves full game -1.5, Rays full game -1.5, and Reds full game -1.5 for our guy, Sterling Gentry. Then TJ's on the Astros first 5 -125. That is not the second gift. Bobano has tripled up on that spot. First 5, full game, and Hunter Brown over 5.5 Ks. Bobano's on the over 9 at -118 and Royals, Phillies, same as Kelly McInnes. Mike M's on the Yurfie, says that Yurfie over in Citizens Bank Park is in a 15-3 spot, and his ribeye play of the day is right here on Bryce Harper, RBI at +150. The hip to be square play of the day from Mike M is the Orioles and the Astros, parlayed at +192. He's going for his 3rd straight winner. And Matty Ice back in action. Taint play of the day. We've missed him. Baltimore first 5 -1/2. TJ gift. His gift is the Orioles for the series at -165. He's going to be moving on the Orioles -1, but he believes that Adley Rutschman or Gunnar Henderson will be out. And if one of them is, then the line will drop. So he's waiting on it. Bobano moved on the Orioles -1 at -112. And Kramer on the over 4.5 strikeouts. He's on Kramer over 4.5 strikeouts. So that is the Peterson Kramer spot here. Thank you, Justin McElvey, my man. And TJ, you are money in the bank. I really love TJ's capping. What do you think, Bobano? Is that your first time being on screen with TJ? Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Yeah, it is. It was my first time with TJ on the show as well. But I know he's been in the chat for years. He's been a long time family member of Betting with the Bag and Pub Sports Radio. I've seen him in the chat all the time. But yeah, first time I've seen and heard him on the show. And yeah, great job. Just capper. And that's the thing. I mean, there's a reason I'm only on once every 2 weeks during the summer. It's because we want to give the airtime to other people. They deserve it. There's a lot of great cappers and great people with do great work and put in great research and put in the time and uncover angles that maybe someone else didn't think about. So it's great to have another member of the community stepping up and in and giving us some great handicapping acumen.
Yeah, no, well put. I really, really like working with him. MLB best bet for our man PJ is the Boston Red Sox money line. Bobano's on Paxton over 6.5 Ks. Jose's on Red Sox -1 in the Red Sox series series, and TJ's also on Red Sox series. I'm going to move on the Red Sox today. I maybe even double up on it, but certainly on either first 5 or full game. Rocco Rogers is on the Marlins first 5 plus a half, Marlins first 5 money line, and the Marlins full game money line. Bobano and I are off that spot, and we're off of Diamondbacks Twinkies. Bobano's on the over 8.5 in Pirates Brewers at -125. He's on the Rockies at +172 in the over 9.5. And we heard from TJ that he's going to be on the Rockies +1.5. Bobano's on Castillo over 6.5 Ks and Detmers over 6.5 Ks. And I missed that first 5 under 4.5. It's now at 4. And I find that first 3 under 2 more appealing at a big plus money price. So I'm going to use the -1 calculator and use the first 3 under 2.5 at -135 and the first 3 under 1.5 at +185 and put that together. Bobano closes his card, as do I, with the Padres. I'm on the first 3, first 5. He's on the Padres full game, the over 8, and Darvish over 5.5 Ks at -125. And that is our show for today. Thank you guys in the chat. We have nothing without you. The insights, the humor, you just bring so much joy to the show for us, and we thank you. Dante Mack, Equinimus, Rant, Sterling Gentry, Bankroll Spence, there's TJ, Real Deal, Prime, Dante Mack, Tori Coker, Justin McElvey. What a group, man. Very thankful. DC Capper, Joe Yurkovich, Reclaim James, Jay Peasy, Perky Sanderson, Ramon Scott. What a group. We have nothing without you guys. Rem Most, Nut Flush, Allen, I Get Money. Thank you guys. Jimmy Gomez. Great to see Jimmy Gomez back in action. Great to see Matty Ice rolling with us again. Wine Time Sports, Morgan Spooner, Tease, Big Friday for Tease in WNBA, Nasty Nate, Alfred 44, Swiss Horton. Thank you guys. Truly, truly thank you guys. And thank you to Jose. What a sport he is at all times, backbone of the channel, putting in so much hard work. He has Say Hey plays of the day at 5 o'clock with Connor Mack and Balking Deads at 3:10 p.m. But Jose's had a real whirlwind 48 hours, and he's handled it with class and dignity, and he did nothing wrong. And this is just one step of his journey, and it adds to his lore. And although, we've been sort of teasing him about it, it's tough for anybody to take, even if it's 13, 18-year-old South Korean girls, it's just tough for anybody to take negativity. And he's a kind person who's not used to taking negativity. But this is just one step in a wild journey that's being an on-camera sports handicapper. And when we look back at it in a year or two, he'll be laughing at it too.
It's a life test.
Yeah, exactly. And the test is not to let it consume you and to try to stay off Twitter for a little bit. But shout out to our friend Jose, who has gone a whirlwind 48 hours that we've all laughed at. But, it's not easy taking negativity. And there he is right there with his Japan jersey on. I get it. Bobano, would you like to put a bow on the show? And Jose, do you have any last words as we wrap up the weekend? Jose?
Don't fuck with the Koreans.
Yeah, no, don't do it. Bobano, can you send us into the future? Let's us into the future. Thank you for all the hard work you put into the show, and thank you to everybody watching.
I mean, just hit the like button. I mean, where we basically go for a length of a football or hockey or basketball or baseball game, 3 hours we give you here pretty much. So hit the like button. Great stuff. Good luck to Jimmy, Jose, everyone in the chat. Enjoy the weekend. Let's cash some tickets. And as always, leche and those bookmakers.